the 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
After being unsure where we'd find ourselves in round 12, the Crows and the Pies are finally set to clash at the Adelaide Oval this afternoon. But all eyes may be on the fans in attendance who have been told to dodge the football at all costs. It's Adelaide and Collingwood on Grandstand AFL, and we'd like to start our coverage by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land we are on, and wherever you may be listening, we'd also like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We would also like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders listening. No late changes for both sides, so Collingwood will be without Brodie Grundy after a neck injury. So Max Lynch comes in for his second game. Jamie Elliott also returning from a broken leg for the Pies. Chris Mayne out. He's been managed, meanwhile, for the Crows. Ronan O'Connor plays his second game, replacing the concussed Sam Berry, and Andrew McPherson returns for Luke Brown, who's out with Achilles soreness. Aaron Bryans with you, and alongside me, as always, at the Adelaide Oval is Neil Cross. Welcome, Crossy.
Aaron, fantastic to be here. I thought we might be able to leave behind whether Collingwood should be here or not. I thought we might be able to leave behind the $50,000 the Crows have been fined for not wearing, or some of them not wearing masks on a plane. But no, we're still talking about it. Maybe when the bounce goes down, we can concentrate on footy for a change.
I don't know. It depends whether players kick the ball into the crowd. So the first two rows are empty this afternoon, but there's still a packed house in. So
it's a ring of steel.
I guarantee the ball is going to hit someone at some point, and we'll wait and see what the reaction is after what the health officer Nicola Spurrier said during the week. Your experts this afternoon are firstly Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli. Welcome, Campo.
Sorry, guys. We're pressing the button at the same time. Great start. We've got a little bit of happening up here as well. No, good to be here. It's an important game, really, for Adelaide. A really winnable game. They probably need to win, really, in terms of what they've been able to dish up the last few weeks, although they got over Melbourne in a really tight one. But, look, everything is probably against Collingwood, to be fair, with the week they've had, the presidency, the travel, the COVID, the isolation, still the continued talk around Bucks' contract. There's a fair bit going on at that footy club, probably as much as I've probably ever seen, Jamo, to be fair, with over the 25 years I've been involved at AFL level. So great opportunity for Adelaide, home deck. It's a game I think they should win.
Alongside Scott Camporelli, Adelaide Crows Premiership player, and board member Rod Jamieson. Been a busy day for you, I imagine, Jamo, at the Adelaide Football Club.
He's got empty pockets now.
Look, I have to say, bitterly disappointing. Something that's so important in the community, and everyone's aware of it, and the messaging to our players and everyone involved, and for them not to follow through in its simplest form was really bitterly disappointing. And I think Tim Silvers, the CEO, has expressed that, and we cop a fine of $50,000, which is enormously significant. So we'll accept it and make sure it never happens again. But I just want to touch on, it was interesting how Nicola Spurrier said a little bit about if it goes into the crowd. Like, I've been watching this really close. It's Australia's leading, I think it's epidemiologist, has clearly said 2 days ago, it's highly unlikely to almost never that you will catch COVID off a football, even let alone a surface. So again, I keep hearing it continually. Don't touch the footy.
Well, Nicola followed it up by saying that you should never touch footballs that come from the game anyway, because they're sweaty and they've got the players' germs on them.
I don't know how many sweaty blokes are on a field, but just wash your hands, Campo, before you eat your hot chips.
Moments away from bounce down. Let's head down to the boundary line. Jack Paquetta's there for us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Aaron. I'm one of the lucky ones to be here sitting in the front row today. It's so far so good on the weather front. It is looking slightly overcast, and there is the chance of a couple of showers, but it is sunny at the moment. There is a slight breeze blowing towards the southern end of the ground. The Crows will be kicking against that breeze. Shane McAdam won the toss. Adelaide kicking to the northern end. Starting benches for the Crows: Rowe, Hamill, O'Connor and Scholl. Off for Collingwood: Thomas, Sire, Rantal and Madgen. The two medical subs, Nick Murray and Callum Brown.
The text line this afternoon, 0437 774 774. It's Adelaide and Collingwood on Grandstand AFL. Neil Cross to kick things off.
What a difference a year makes. When these sides last met, Collingwood sitting 7th on the ladder and Adelaide 18th without a win. It's a changing season, this one. Adelaide on the way up, and out of the middle they'll come through Sloane. He goes forward off the left foot. Walker, well, he got rid of his man, couldn't get back to the ball. Comes to ground, Walker follows up on the ground. Now he makes a tackle on Pendlebury, who's taken inside the attacking 50 for Adelaide. A little bit of push and shove in the afters. And just to warm the hands, I think, the players, just a little bit of push and shove and the ball will be thrown up.
Certainly gloomy conditions here at the Adelaide Oval, but a low chance of rain. From the ruck contest, Walker got it down to Keys, hands it back to Sloane from 45. He sets it up towards the top of the goal square. Moore read it best, couldn't take it for the Pies. Crisp is nudged off it. Maynard tries to tap it to Crisp. Schomburg cuts it off for the Crows. We're in the scoreboard pocket. McAdam will tackle Puena over the line. Boundary throw in to come.
Interesting, Scott Pendlebury starting in the half-back line today, Jamo. He's played spasmodically this year, and Crisp is in the midfield at the moment.
And that might be out on the full. It is. From the ruck contest, it was backhanded over the line by Roughhead, and it was over the line on the full, and that counts as being out on the full. And Fogarty will take the free kick for Adelaide. Hard against that boundary line in the right forward pocket in front of the scoreboard. He's going to try and hook it across his body on the left foot as he runs around, hooks it around, and kicks the opening goal. Well, maybe that was a misreading of the rules by Roughhead, but he backhanded the ball over the boundary line from a ruck contest on the full. It's a free kick.
I think that's an area where the Collingwood Football Club are going to struggle today too. When you have a look at Max Lynch, he's leading their ruck. He's only played the one. This is his second game, so the height and the experience in the air. Probably a little stiff on that scenario in terms of Roughhead as to where it was and how it happened, but he's still got to execute. And Darcy Fogarty in some better form in recent time for Adelaide.
I don't quite understand that. I know we want to try and even the game up, but the great Mick Moldhouse used to say, let the bakers bake. Yeah. You got a young player in for his first down, get him involved in the game, and put it to your midfielders at ground level.
Well, Max Lynch is into the ruck in the centre circle up against O'Brien. Awkward bounce in the middle. Favours Lynch, who gets the tap down. He's looking for De Goey, pulled away from it by Keys. Coming in to assist is Smith for the Crows. Taps it out to the eastern side. Diving through, a hand pass from McKay. He's received a free kick in the process. Hoskin Elliott gets him high. Short kick centrally to Sloane, the captain at the back edge of the centre circle. Pops it out towards the western side. Jones is alone there. Bianco did enough to bring it to ground. Then Jones tried to regather, kicked it straight into the man in front of him. Now Crisp and Bianco can head towards the 50 for the Pies. They're moving it quickly. Myercheck has it about 70 from goal.
Nothing ahead of the footy.
No, he had to pull up Myercheck. Now inside 50 he goes to the lead. And it was well placed for Elliott leading up, taking the mark 40 from goal, but at a reasonably acute angle as he backs up outside the 50. He'll start his run in from right on the boundary line.
His fifth game for the year. It's classy when he's on. Talk about Pendlebury off the half back. Just read the footy well, didn't he? And important smother to win the football back.
4 goals straight for Jamie Elliott this season. Here's a set shot and his opportunity to open the scoring for Collingwood. What a beautiful kick. A lovely finish from Jamie Elliott. First of the afternoon for the Pies. They answer Adelaide's opening gambit. And it's a goal apiece after 3 minutes on Grandstand AFL.
It was just really good patience, really, by Myercheck. He was the last line of that forward structure because Collingwood got up the ground, and so he did. He was great composure. He just held and waited till the other guys ran forward, and then the old double back. Andy McPherson, young player against a pretty experienced player in Jamie Elliott, just double back, pushed off him and led up into the space. So easy uncontested mark, but really nice finish.
Probably the time where you actually allow him to just get goal side, isn't it, too? And you've got to kick 40 or 50 to get over the top, and you just cover off that space to restrict the player to run at the player with the footy.
Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, your experts this afternoon. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points. At the moment, scores level here at the Adelaide Oval. In the middle, Lynch once again up against O'Brien. Bounced off O'Brien's head down towards Crisp for Collingwood. Tapped it to De Goey, but it was holding the ball. Tried to get a disposal away, Crisp, and the tap just wasn't clean enough. Free kick to the Crows. O'Brien will have it in the centre circle. Decides to send it long. Into the 50 to a pack at the front. Walker will rise. Can't bring it down. Knocked down to Rory Sloane. He couldn't gather under pressure. Murphy, rather, for the Crows. Hand passes to De Goey. Back edge of the centre square. Caught high in a tackle. Free kick to the Pies. And it'll go against Riley O'Brien. So Jordan De Goey has possession for Collingwood. Scores level at the moment, 1 straight 6 apiece.
De Goey goes sideways, not the greatest of kicks. Finds Poulter on the bounce, and then his kick around the corner was high. Didn't even get to centre wing. Off hands comes to Walker. Tries to break a tackle. It squirts out, but Walker's going to be pinched for holding the ball. So Bianco will take the free kick for Collingwood. Between half-back and centre wing on this broadcast side. Inboard and very short to De Goey with the ball. So he goes short, and they've only managed to advance it towards centre wing with Dacos taking the mark there.
Probably where they were when De Goey had it 4 or 5 disposals ago.
And this has been the tactic we've seen the last couple of weeks from Collingwood, the lateral kicking. It was resulted in ugly football last week against Geelong. Now in the hands of Poulter, called to play on. He'll head up to the 50 at right half forward. All alone, Brodie Smith intercepts it for Adelaide. So his mark. He'll head back up towards centre wing on the western side. Laird will take it. Now a hand pass out wide to Seedsman. Pops it short, dangerously. Rough head read at best. Cuts off Walker and takes the mark for Collingwood at right half back.
So on the broadcast side, rough head. Thought about going inside. Then he goes down the line. And the ball's brought down by the Crows defenders. Poulter picks it up, slices through the pack on the left foot inside 50. Couldn't have spotted up Kelly's chest any better. So Adelaide with the intercept mark. Kelly comes back to this broadcast side of the ground, short to Smith. Marks it about 10 metres in from the boundary line. Backs up, takes his time. Adelaide likes to go short from here, but he doesn't have an option, so he's forced to go down the line and long. O'Brien the target. He's just got rid of by Maynard. Ball comes to ground. Adelaide forces it forward. And then the hand pass from Schonberg was appalling. Almost gave it over to Thomas, but side bottom came through and took it eventually for Collingwood.
Kicks it short to Poulter, who marks just forward of centre wing on the western side. Heads back into the square. Noble has some space. Heads to the 50 in the left forward pocket. Spots up Hoskin Elliott, who marks up against David McKay. McKay stands the mark about 47 or 48 from goal. Hoskin Elliott decides to centre his kick to the top of the goal square to a pack. Lynch flies, knocks it down. Thomas is there front and square and snaps it through from 20. Josh Thomas on return gets his first, and the Pies take an early lead. 2 straight 12 to 1 straight 6, approaching the 8-minute mark of the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, I like the kick that Poulter did. You know, young South Australian boy, Jamo, played at the Eagles last year. Good to see him back. 4 possessions early in this game, but left footer just rolled into the corridor, opened the game up. David McKay far too off Hoskin Elliott. Good contest, but front and square. Great positioning for Thomas. Easy goal.
Got the good mullet too going, Poulter. But again, what's standing out for me at the moment, albeit they're moving it slow, but majority of the time they're maintaining possession with their kicks. Collingwood, they're going at 81% at the moment.
Well, and they're doing that, Jamo, on the basis that they don't have any key forwards. Yeah. So there's no point in bombing. So they're trying to actually play the game as to what the forward group that they've got.
So Collingwood by a goal after Adelaide had the early one. Out of the middle, they'll come through Lynch, and he drives it long for Collingwood towards that Riverbank stand into the ground, going back, taking the defensive mark, Duday. And then he drops it in short, too short for Keys, had to half volley it. Interesting hand pass then to Duday. Smashed as he kicked it out to the eastern side of the ground. Off hands, brilliantly read by Kelly, running from half back down the line looking for Walker. Roughhead beat him. And Roughhead takes the mark just behind centre wing for Collingwood, eastern side of the ground, and it's the Pies by 6 points.
Heads up to the attacking edge of the square. Smith's coming across, collided hard with Hoskin Elliott. Spills to Lynch, pops it into the 50 into open space. A bouncing ball that Hamill can read very well. Clears it out of the 50 for the Crows and works well from McAdam. Had plenty of Pies running back, but still managed to hit him in the centre square. So we've travelled 10 minutes now. We've had 9 turnovers in the game so far, and that's the 10th. McAdam just picks out the only Pie at the back edge of the square. Braden Maynard has it for them and heads out to the western side to Madgen.
This looks ugly for Adelaide at the moment, doesn't it?
Madgen plays on and wide, and De Goey takes the mark just near the interchange gates. And down the line he goes with his kick and out on the full. So just when you thought it couldn't get any uglier.
I was just going to say, Crossy, I don't think it's not anything that Collingwood are doing, otherwise they're kicking and keeping it off each other, but Adelaide are turning the football over several times.
The Crows move it quickly down the line. Fogarty has it just forward of centre wing on the western side. Sends it short. Just paid the 15 to McAdam. And he'll head up towards left half forward to Laird. Inside the boundary line, about 70 from goal. Pops it up into the 50. Sat a little bit too long for Seedsman. Madgen comes across and knocks it over the boundary line to be tossed back in. On the text line, 0437 774 774. Dave the Truckie says, go the Pies. On my way to Brisbane from Melbourne again. Good luck with the trip, Dave.
Just saw a picture of Bucks in the box. He's got his mask on. He's all black. Looks like he's going to rob a bank.
Ball back into play. Dacos. Back to goal. Just had to quickly put it on the foot, and Walker's taken the mark, 48 from goal, and as we know, he's in range. Wide out near the boundary at left half forward. But Taylor Walker is in reasonable nick in front of goals this season.
He missed one last week out in front, which was unusual, but he should get the distance well and truly. Favoured here. Put it to the right.
Walker, the only player to win the goal and mark of the round this season. He's away to the right with that kick, and marked down there well by Moore in the defensive pocket for Collingwood, and he'll go back and just take his time and look for a short option.
So Darcy Moore, 8th in the league for intercepts coming into this round. He's got another there. Runs across the goal face and heads out of the 50 dangerously. Myercheck nearly took it, did enough. Tapped it down to Thomas. The Pies now head through the centre square. Bounces up in front of Crisp, who can gather cleanly. Short kick into the 50, leading out Elliott. Hits him on the chest. 40 from goal. 45-degree angle to the right.
It's sloppy, Adelaide.
Well, it's been the Achilles heel all year, Jimmo. If you look at in terms of their defence out of their forward half, they're the second worst team in the competition at trying to defend that part of the ground and then letting opposition teams score. And you see it there, just too easy. And poor Andrew McPherson, I know we're critical of him. Once again, he should have done a bit more body work. But Jamie Elliott can lead virtually 180 degrees without any pressure on him.
So Elliott starts outside the 50 on return from a broken leg. He could have 2 in the first quarter. He does. The Pies have 3 in 12 and a half minutes, and Jamie Elliott with 2. It's 3 straight 18 to 1 straight 6. Early stages of the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, both teams are pretty similar in terms of their MO, Jamo, with trying to control the ball with uncontested marks. Adelaide's had 12, Collingwood's had 15. Not even halfway through the first quarter, so that was probably the thing I was critical about Adelaide last week. 148 marks against Richmond. Yeah. Like, you just can't, you know, it's an obvious statement, but you can't score if you don't have the ball in your hands. So if you give teams, particularly good teams, the opportunity to own the ball and you don't defend, and they really balance in terms of when they can go quick, which is what Collingwood's done here, and they've kicked 2 easy goals.
I think Taylor Walker already twice has gone across the ground as opposed to leading up where he knows his strength is, and Roughhead has outmarked him on both occasions.
Collingwood by 12 points in the middle. No takeaway just yet. Ball on the ground. This time Jones off the back of the square gets it forward for Adelaide. It's off hands and back into the centre square. De Goey, nice pick up. Hand pass off to Maynard on his left foot. Wobbly old kick inside 50. Elliott, did he push McPherson? Umpire said no. And he takes it on his chest, and he'll have another look at the goals from some 35 metres out straight in front.
Just outbodied on the replay. Just shoved him in the side. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just pure body strength. Jamie Elliott, 10-year player versus a second-year player.
Missed 9 games with a broken leg. Now he's back in the side, and he's still yet to miss a shot at goal. And in he comes, and he's got his 3rd of the afternoon and his 7th for the season without a behind. And the Pies have 4 goals straight 24 on the board. Adelaide 1 goal straight 6 after 14 minutes.
Well, where do they go? Andy McPherson, critical on the first one, Jamo. Second one, that was just poor team defence he gave there. That one, he just got outbodied. So in terms of the coach's box and what they're thinking now is, do we switch Jake Kelly to him? Just a little bit bigger body, probably a bit more seasoned campaigner, or do you back him in?
Oh, it looks like they're going to back him in again. And Jake Kelly just had a word to him. Although
might have come off the ground.
He's just come off, yep.
Not sure you'd be coming off after you kick 3 in 10 minutes, Jamo.
No. Why would you? Just go back and tell Bucks.
I'm hot, coach. Leave me on.
Leave me on.
I've got this bloke's measure.
So the Pies by 18, 15 minutes gone in the opening quarter. Max Lynch back into the ruck up against O'Brien. Lynch wins it down, tapped it towards Sire, had Keys right on him, might have been pulled away without it. O'Brien tried to sock it off the deck, but Laird stripped him of it. Regardless, the Crows get a clearance. Keys to centre half forward, bounces up towards Walker. Nice hand pass out for Rowe, caught in the tackle from Maynard. Ricochets out, Laird picks it up, may have been caught high, gets out of the tackle, tries to regather in the centre square. This time Sire wraps up one arm, has no option, Laird, but to collapse into the ground, and will get a ball up. Attacking edge of the square for the Crows, down by 18.
Ball in the air straight away. O'Brien, great knockdown. Schonberg, quick hand pass off. Laird inside 50 and Walker's in front this time and coming up the ground. Low down, he takes the mark on his chest and he'll have a look at the goal face, basically straight in front.
Well, just a nice piece of buckwork. Riley O'Brien hits it forward, which is not always the case to Schonberg, and then Laird just wraps around on his left. Quick hat kick forward, but really good positioning. Forwards play in front. You never know what can happen. The ball will drop quickly out of a snap kick out of stoppage.
So Walker begins his run inside the centre square. Will kick it from perhaps 45. Comes in and he's not happy with it. Away to the right. Minus score. First of the afternoon by either side. Adelaide 117. Collingwood 4 straight 24. Moore from full back plays on straight away out to Maynard by hand.
Chips it short, looking for Crisp, who takes it just outside the 50 on that eastern side.
He's lucky to make the distance there, Taylor Walker, wasn't he? Too. Looks like the breeze from the north is just heading to the west too, so kicking into it in this first quarter.
Crisp immediately went inward to Pendlebury, and now Madgen's in the right back pocket. So the Pies keep looking sideways, and they'll do the same. Madgen's kicks a little short for Pendlebury, gathers cleanly off the bounce though, and heads back to the scoreboard pocket. Maynard takes it, and finally they exit the 50 once again to Roughhead. Pops it over the top to Crisp. Kick mark game seems to be working for them. Flat down the line, hits Quaino, has a bit of a fumble, has to regather under pressure. Crows swarm, Rowe with a hand pass out. Gets it off towards Schonberg, high into the 50 he goes. Outnumbered is Thilthorpe, diving in, can't take it. The Crows have numbers to regather. Imagine a hand pass out to Quaino, and Crisp can once again get it out of the 50.
Off the left foot, turns it over straight away because Adelaide had numbers. And Kelly took it inboard with his short kick. He finds Laird. So Laird's between centre wing and half forward for Adelaide. Out there on the eastern side of the ground. Now he plays on around side bottom. Kicks long into that scoreboard pocket. Big fist comes in more centre of the pack. Knocks it over the boundary line. We'll get a throw in. Natives in Adelaide just a little restless. Not happy with his first quarter thus far. 4 straight to Collingwood, 1-1-7 for the Crows.
Poor entry. Walker, Thilthorpe, Fogarty and O'Brien all under the football on that occasion. It's just heavily congested.
Walker gets the tap down in the 50, bounces out of the arc, gathered cleanly by Sholo, gets it to Laird, pops it to the pocket. Fogarty may have been held, wanted the free kick, won't receive it. Boundary throw-in to come in front of the scoreboard. On the text line, an unnamed texter, please leave your name and where you're from when you message in us. Why we didn't do a welcome to country for this game? Well, it actually occurred while the Sydney-St Kilda game was on, but we'll do our best when available to broadcast them to you.
Ball back into play. Walker knocks it down from the ruck contest. Now it's on the ground, and there's about 6 or 8 players standing around. The 2 over the ball were O'Connor for Adelaide and Madgen. Now it's in the air again from the umpire. Hand pass off from Pendlebury to side bottom. Gets it near the defensive 50 for Collingwood. And eventually it gets carried over the line. In the scrum, if you like. Collingwood, not a bad first quarter. 4 goals straight, leading Adelaide 1-1.
They've sucked the energy out of Adelaide Oval, though. Very quiet here. Decent crowd in, though. Toss back in. Walker gets the tap down. McHenry couldn't gather cleanly, had to tackle side bottom in the end, who didn't have the football. Free kick to steal side bottom just inside the arc on that eastern side. Now side bottom opts to go short down the line. Hits up Darcy Cameron. That's Braden Sire, rather. Who then heads towards centre wing on the eastern side. This time we'll find Max Lynch in his second game. He's had a few touches so far, coming up for his third.
And 50.
50 as well. And as a result, Max Lynch will be marched to the arc. Maybe a chance for the big man to have a shot on goal. At 200 centimetres, he certainly has the power. Doesn't even think about it. Pops it short to the left forward pocket. Big push out from Cameron. And the free kick will go to the Adelaide Crows. He completely got rid of Tom Duday, and they'll receive it in the right back pocket.
So Duday backs up, then goes centrally with his kick to Smith. It was a good one. He wants to play on. He does play on. And just off a step, pounds the ball 50 metres from McAdam. And his arm was taken away by Bianco, so he'll take the free kick. He's at left half back on this broadcast side. Called to play on now. Down the line he's forced. And it gets over the back of the pack. That allows quick hand pass from McHenry to Schonberg. Schonberg had Philthorpe out the back, but his pass was intercepted by Quaynor for Collingwood, and now they distribute out to the other side of the ground.
Rantel has it on that eastern side, hands it off to the running Poulter. Further down the eastern wing he goes. Butts is there underneath it. Brought it to ground but couldn't pick it up cleanly. And under pressure, he'll carry it over the boundary line. Down on the boundary is Jack Paqueta.
Crows forward Taylor Walker has come from the ground complaining of a sore behind the right knee. So I'll keep you updated if there's any updates down here.
Ball back into play. Out on the eastern side. O'Brien taps it down and then just tries to soccer it forward. Keys was over the ball as well. Eventually the ball squeezed out to Noble for Collingwood inside 50. Intercept mark taken nicely by Duday. He started the game pretty well back there for Adelaide. So Duday backs up, goes across the goal face. Partner in crime Brodie Smith with the mark.
Up to 16 turnovers in the opening quarter. Is that pretty poor, Campo, or about around the mark?
No, it's around the mark. They're just each team's not actually making them pay. That's probably the thing. Adelaide are kicking at 66%, Collingwood at 78%. So it's probably more Adelaide than Collingwood at the moment.
In defensive 50, Smith decides to send it long down the western side. Roughhead read it best in the pack. Takes the intercept mark for Collingwood. Heads into defensive 50 to Moore. They're looking for the switch now. Moore wastes no time. Plays on and sends it into the square. Under pressure, Rantel. Big high tackle. Very ugly on Chase Jones, who's popped straight back up, no dramas. Short chip kick to the logo on the eastern side to Keys. The Crows now, awkward hand pass for Sloane. Under a tackle, he's dropped it. Poulter got him. Free kick to Collingwood on the eastern side, and the crowd's getting very upset with this opening quarter so far. The Pies up by 17 points.
It's frustrating, isn't it, too, to watch? You saw how good Adelaide were first and last quarter. The second and third, they just handballed a lot, handballed to people under pressure, fumbled and didn't hit their mark, and that's continued into this first quarter.
Well, Collingwood have decided to go sideways. They've found Dacos, who received it from Pendlebury, and Dacos with the mark. He's at right half back, so they've switched it from that eastern side onto this broadcast side. De Goey leads up, takes the mark now on Dacos's pass. De Goey decides to go back defensively. 25 from goal, he had Roughhead, who quickly distributes the hand pass out to Madgen. They're out on the far side.
Quaynor takes a run. Short pass, stabs it up towards centre wing. Poulter decided to stop. Held up time a little bit. Still went short to Rantel, who spilled the chest mark. Flicked it back out, though. More with the defensive hand pass to Quaynor. And the Pies once again head back to go forward. Quaynor, after a spin, heads up to left half forward and kicks it out on the full. Free kick to Adelaide at right half back, down by 17 points, kicking to the northern end at the 23.5-minute mark.
Don't think there'll be a distribution of the video of this first quarter. It's not been fantastic football from either side. A lot of mistakes, as we've already talked about. Adelaide, high kick towards centre wing. Huge pack. O'Brien brings it down. I think the Keys in the end. He just scrambles the ball into the forward 50. It's set up for Roughhead. He couldn't take it. McAdam with the pressure, but he was good enough to get the hand pass away to Pendlebury. Comes to this side of the ground, the broadcast side. And the mark taken there leading up from Murphy. So Murphy immediately looks backwards. Now he's called to play on. Goes down the line, kicks it out on the full. Or was it touched off the boot? No, it wasn't. It was just a simple error. Again, something we know all about. We've seen a lot of them.
Oz kick footy at the moment, Crossy. Chase Jones back into Brodie Smith at left half back and now into defensive 50 for the Crows.
He could fit in the Oz kick game. Height, I'm talking.
There's
only.
The first ledge of the day.
So could you, though.
Seedsman to Keys and now gets it back at the back edge of the centre square.
I thought you were talking about his skill level.
I was talking about his height.
There's a reason why I commentate, Jamo, and don't play the game. Seedsman turns it over. Awkward kick to centre wing on the western side. Murphy for the Pies. Heads towards the square. Hoskin Elliott takes the mark. Continues it inbound. Finds Dacos. Dacos wastes no time. Flat kick into the 50, leading out Elliott once again.
Wow.
Jamie Elliott, 35 from goal straight in front, has a chance to kick his 4th of the opening quarter.
That's really poor from Adelaide's midfield group. It's almost like there's the electric fence around the D50. They're allowed to actually run back into the D50 and help and cover that corridor space for a leading forward. Just really lazy defensively from Adelaide. But what happens is all these uncontested marks, there's no energy left for them to turn it into offence because they're too busy chasing.
What a start this would be for Jamie Elliott. Starts outside the 50, kicks from 40. It's a little left. He snuck it home. Gee, they didn't look sold on that, the Pies players, but they've got the major. And Jamie Elliott has 4 in the opening quarter. Collingwood out to a 23-point lead. 5 straight 30 to the Crows 1-1-7. Let's check in on Tex Walker's status down on the boundary. Jack Paqueta.
Well, Taylor Walker is about to come back on the field. They've strapped the top of his right calf. They were working on it for a lot of time there, but he's going to go out there and give it another shot.
There's that, what you say, electric fence around. We're going to get the electric prodders out again. Matthew Nicks must be... He'd be livid at this.
Well, they just haven't learned from last week, Jamo. Yeah. Once again, 40 uncontested marks Collingwood have had already in this quarter. And time in possession, 46-38. You're not going to win a game of footy if you don't get the ball back.
Didn't kick a goal in the first half against Geelong last week. And here they are, kicking 5 straight. 4 to Elliott, if you don't mind. The Pies are doing very well, and out of the middle they come again. It's reached as far as Thomas. He's at left half forward. He puts a left foot inside forward 50. Oh, it was almost brought down. Out of the mark, on the ground. Umpire circling. Still the ball bobbles around amongst the players, and now we'll get the ball up. It's only about 30 metres out from the goal face.
So inside Collingwood's attacking 50. Plenty of time left for a major. In the ruck contest, O'Brien got the tap, spilled off a few hands to Seedsman, barrels it out of the 50. Sitting underneath it, Noble juggled it under pressure, took the mark, called to play on, it must have been touched. Quaynor taps it out towards Roughhead, now back to Moore, under pressure as hand pass heads towards Schomburg. The Crows now heading into the centre square. It's messy football, but it's going to be held up for a free kick. A push in the back against John Noble. As a result, Schomburg will receive the free kick after a bit of push and shove. True centre wing, just short of the eastern side.
Boos from the crowd as Noble did his best just to delay things. Now Schomburg a high kick to half forward. Talk about inefficient. That was horrible. And Crisp just watched the ball and got an uncontested mark. He was at the front of the approaching pack, and the pack just didn't get there. So he goes short right to the boundary line. Roughhead, who's had a good first quarter in defence, takes the mark. Just steps inside the line and goes long. This is all on the eastern side of the ground. Ball comes off Cameron's hands to the front, and umpire still calling play on. And finally, he'll come in and decide to ball it up. It's basically on centre wing on the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval as we approach quarter time. Collingwood 5 straight, Adelaide 1-1.
So on the reset, O'Brien gets it down. Went straight towards Crisp, who couldn't dispose of it cleanly. Coming through Poulter for the Pies. He's wrapped up by 3 Crows and drops it. Ball comes out. Rantail just inside the boundary line. Gets a disposal away on the quarter time siren. It's been all Collingwood in the opening quarter. A fly in, fly out. Difficult day, a difficult year for them, but they're showing no signs of that. 5 straight 30, leading Adelaide 1-1-7. Jamie Elliott with 4 goals in the first break. Josh Thomas with 1 for the Pies, and meanwhile the only goal for the Crows coming through Darcy Fogarty. A quick check-in on the boundary line with Jack Paqueta.
Well, the Crows had seen enough towards the end of that first quarter. They made the switch. Jake Kelly was on Jamie Elliott at the end of that term, so let's see if he goes to him at the start of the second term.
So a 23-point lead to the Pies at quarter time. Plenty of text to run through following this break on 0437 774 774. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points, and last night, Melbourne defeating Brisbane by 22 points. Here at the Adelaide Oval, it is the Pies by 23, wherever you're listening on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
So, am I the only one with a secret that would end a relationship?
No, he's not. Australia, we need to talk. We asked 60,000 Australians 600 questions, and nothing was off limits.
Should the vaccine be mandatory?
Do I like my boss?
Should politicians resign if they lie to the public?
How often do I change my sheets?
Now we have a picture of Australia like never before. See where you fit at abc.net.au/Australia Talks.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season
Sir Doug Nicholls round
on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Oscar Elliott decides to centre his kick to the top of the goal square to a pack. Lynch flies, knocks it down. Thomas is there front and square and snaps it through from 20. Myercheck nearly took it, did enough. Tapped it down to Thomas. The Pies now head through the centre square. Bounces up in front of Crisp, who can gather cleanly. Short kick into the 50, leading out Elliott. Hits him on the chest. Elliott starts outside the 50. On return from a broken leg, he could have two in the first quarter. He does.
De Goey, nice pick-up. Hand pass off to Maynard. On his left foot, wobbly old kick inside 50. Elliott, did he push McPherson? Umpire said no. And he takes it on his chest, and he'll have another look at the goals from some 35 metres out, straight in front. And in he comes, and he's got his third of the afternoon.
Seedsman turns it over. Awkward kick to centre wing on the western side. Murphy for the Pies. Heads towards the square. Hoskin Elliott takes the mark. Continues it inbound. Finds Dacos. Dacos wastes no time. Flat kick into the 50. Leading out Elliott once again. What a start this would be for Jamie Elliott. Starts outside the 50. Kicks from 40. He's snuck it home.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season
Sir Doug Nicholls round
on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Collingwood with the hot start at the Adelaide Oval. 4 goals to Jamie Elliott. 5 straight 30. They lead Adelaide 1-1-7. The Crows inaccurate and letting Collingwood play the defensive game we saw last week against Geelong. Lots of uncontested marking, lots of lateral kicking. It's been ugly football, but the Pies are up by 23 points at the first break. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points. Jake Lloyd had 27 touches. Will Hayward with 3 goals. Jack Higgins kicked 1 goal, 6 for St Kilda in their 9-point loss earlier today. Coming up shortly as well following this game, Dream Time in the West. Great to have the coverage there between Essendon and Richmond with Clint Wilden and Ben Cameron coming up very shortly. But here at the Adelaide Oval, it is the Pies up against the Crows. A fly-in, fly-out model for Collingwood today seems to be working for them so far. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you, your experts. Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli and Adelaide Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson.
I just don't like the way the Crows are playing, Jamo, to be quite honest. They're getting beaten in contested possession. They're getting beaten in uncontested possession. They clearly haven't learnt from last week against Richmond, allowing him to have 40 uncontested marks again. And in terms of time in possession, 48% to Collingwood, 36 to Adelaide. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are they allowing them just to own the ball and just keep the ball off them? And then when they have turned it over, they've gone whack, which is Adelaide's worst stat of the year, is that they cannot defend transition, particularly out of their front half. And Collingwood have turned the ball over and they've gone back. They've kicked 4 out of their 5 goals in the Adelaide's attacking mid, Collingwood's defensive mid, and they've gone all the way through. I said, well, critical with Andy McPherson. He's had 3 kicked on him by Jamie Elliott. 1 was poor bodywork. The other 2 is just poor defensive transition by either the defenders or the midfielders coming through. Just lack of any sort of intensity from Adelaide at all that we haven't seen for the majority of the year.
Oh, I can't not disagree with you, the way that Adelaide played in that first quarter. We spoke about, I guess, the ability to be able to pick up the football cleanly. They were unable to do that. They're on top in the clearances, but only just 10-6. But they're fumbling, and they were handballing to other players that are either under pressure, that are struggling also to use the football. We spoke about their disposal, over handballing, and then everything you've just highlighted. So really poor quarter by Collingwood. But I like the way they had Scott Pendlebury behind the football too. And when you have a look at the players back there in Roughhead, had plenty of the football, uses it well. Maynard uses it well. Crisp was in the middle, but he's got the ability to go back also too, and side bottom go forward, go into the middle. So they've got some class that uses the football well.
On the text line, Mr. Wilson has texted in on 0437 774 774 saying, wow, what a great round of footy. I'm here with the lovely Jenny listening to the great call. It's a great tribute to our Indigenous stars. Mrs. Wilson and I love our game's diversity between this and the AFLW. Thanks again for keeping us sane from a lockdown at Campbell's Creek. Glad you're enjoying it, Mr. Wilson. Didn't actually get your name in that text there, but thanks for listening in. Also on the text line, A couple of unnamed texters. Agent 604 says, we have missed Jamie Elliott. He showed in that quarter just how good he is. He certainly did. 4 goals for the Pies on a return from a broken leg. And Adrienne in Hampton East says, hi Grandstand, always enjoy the game, but why do coaches take off players when they have kicked a goal? Is it 4 rotations? Because Jamie Elliott went off after his third. Came back and kicked
correct.
the
It's a set rotation.
Yeah.
That would have been his time to come off.
And I think Matthew Nix wanted him off too.
So did Andy McPherson.
Matthew Nix very animated in the huddle at quarter time as the second quarter gets underway. It's Collingwood up by 23. In the middle, De Goey gets a hand pass to Crisp, who spilt it before he earns it. Laird now can regather for the Crows. Hands it to O'Brien, who heads into the 50. Walker leading out, takes it. 49 from goal, slight angle to the right.
He doesn't deliver the football all that precisely, Riley O'Brien. It was a floater, but again, as Taylor Walker did in that first quarter in front of Roughead, he was able to just be in front at the fall of the football. Roughead is sitting off, and if Taylor's going to go from side to side, transition and lead that way, Roughead will be all over him all day.
So Tex starts inside the square, loads up from 55. It's a massive kick. Taylor Walker gets his first. The Crows strike first in the second quarter. It's now down to a 17-point margin. Collingwood 5 straight 30, Adelaide 2-1-13. First minute of the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, centre bounce clearance. They've been on top in that part of the ground, to be fair. That's 5-1 out of there for the game. But just got the momentum forward. And as we said, most of the year, a centre bounce clearance gives your forwards the best opportunity because it's 6v6. And Taylor Walker's probably feasted on that for majority of the year. Adelaide pretty good out of there. Collingwood, this isn't a strength, their centre bounce work.
Lucky on that occasion, though. De Goey had hold of the football, fumbled himself, and Adelaide were able to win it back.
So Walker with his first of the afternoon. A calf problem that he had in the opening quarter, that he spent some time on the bench getting treated, not affecting his kick or his distance. Back in the middle, it's called play on. O'Brien with a tap down. It advantaged him, but it's still on the ground now. Clean possession finally for Brody Smith, came through. Hand pass into the path of Keys. He picked it up, hand passed it forward. Wasn't the greatest. And now it might be Scholl underneath there, who's going to get pinched for holding. No, he isn't. Got it out in time. Sloan over the ball. McKay was in there as well, and Scholl comes back and makes a tackle on Noble of Collingwood, and the umpire finally calls for it. Still not out of the centre square, but slightly to Adelaide's end of the ground.
Quick reset. O'Brien gets the tap down, looking for Sloan. Flicked a hand pass out to McKay. Threw it on the boot, curling into the 50. Walker crunched the pack, spills front and square to Keys. Outside of the boot, he pops it to the top of the goal square. Bounces through Philthorpe. Maynard taps it. Ricochets off the top of his knee and over the boundary line to be tossed in the right forward pocket for the Crows. Down by 17 points, but hot in the early stages of the second quarter.
Don't see that too often. Darcy Fogarty go to ground after a hip and shoulder. So Brandon Maynard, he's been a good defender for the Hot Pies. Coming up Crossy on 150 shortly.
Not too far away. Ball back into play. Walker tries to get to the front, taps it to the front, comes to Crisp for Collingwood, and a beautiful pass down the line finds Thomas ahead of Hamill. And so Thomas just outside defensive 50 for Collingwood at left half back on this broadcast side. Comes down the line with his kick, and Duday looks like he was pushed away from it by Cameron. Umpire called play on. Ball on the ground. Seedsman lost control of the ball, and now Collingwood just hack it high through Poulter.
Off hands, it falls to De Goey, who just keeps it in play. No, just carried over the line by McPherson. Boundary throw in to come at left half forward. On the text line, Wingman says the reason the Crows were down in the opening quarter was because they got a well-deserved spray last night before the $50,000 fine they received earlier today. Tossed back in, O'Brien nudged his opponent out of the ruck, got a hand pass away under pressure. Dacos fell over the ball as well. Ricochets out towards McHenry. Under pressure from Quainoy, gets a defensive hand pass to Laird. The Crows now on the western side through Seedsman. Sends it up towards the 50. Moore comes to crunch the pack. Roughead brings it to ground. Free kick for a chop of the arms. Fogarty receives it. Pops it short into the 50 for Walker. Juggled it, couldn't take it. Pendlebury came across to assist. Collingwood now in the left back pocket. Noble, a hand pass over the top to side bottom. Tried to go through the legs of Seedsman. Ricocheted off his boot to Walker. His hand pass smothered. Slow now for the Crows. Still inside their attacking 50. Got it out. Fogarty was caught by a couple. Fans thought it was high. No free kick. Ball up to come on the paint of 50.
Christian Petrarca last night, just how clean was he in the contest? I mean, he's been in the competition for a while and taken his game to another level.
Walker out of the ruck contest, thought about snapping, but instead tried to feed a hand pass. Adelaide managed to get it through McHenry now. It was untidy. McHenry just sloppy kick towards goals. Pendlebury, did he take it? The umpire said yes. It was a chest mark to start with, unopposed, and then he dropped it and he picked it up just before it hit the ground. So now he's in the back pocket and he goes sideways, as Collingwood is wont to do, and he finds more. He's in the right back pocket on that eastern side.
I imagine you were alluding to the fact that Adelaide could use a player like Petrarca right now, Gemmo?
Oh, just watching, both these sides here as Adelaide intercept, although it might go to Collingwood for a push in the back.
It will.
But it was just, he was so clean and strong and he kept his feet, and on occasions almost looked like he was going to fall over and slip, but managed to have both hands on the footy, keep his feet, and then penetrate but also score.
Murphy with the free kick, sent it up towards centre wing, off a few hands. Sloan gets it out to Keys, hand pass to Laird, back to Smith, now out wide to McKay. He's got some space at left half forward, kicks it into the pocket. He's looking for Thilthorpe, who got rid of his opponent, takes the mark, runs into the open goal. Riley Thilthorpe gets his first. The Crows with 2 quick goals to start the second quarter. We're down to an 11-point game. 5 straight 30 Collingwood, Adelaide 3-1-19 on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, what a great passage of play. They went forward. It was an outball, a handball to McKay, but he got it in one-on-one. And what a great advertisement for the future for Adelaide. Riley Thilthorpe versus Darcy Moore, who's arguably in all-Australian form down back, just gets it done one-on-one. I mean, Crow supporters would be very, very happy with that, and a great confidence builder for him. But it just, once again, it just goes to show if you can get it in quick to your forwards one-on-one, particularly a guy who's 200+ centimetres, he's going to give Darcy Moore a real tough time down there.
He's all class, isn't he, too? And he looks really laconic in his manner and how he does it. I sometimes sit going, just give me some more energy around how you get at the football and how you use it. But look, it's just his natural style and the way that he plays.
Thilthorpe 13-3 for the season. Adelaide will get the centre break. It'll be through Sloan, who was taken high. So he's right in the centre of the ground, Rory Sloan. Wasn't the greatest of kick. Looked like he got a little bit under it. And going back, middle of the pack. Geez, that's a strong mark by Roughhead. He went back, floated, and took the defensive mark.
Great mark.
Better by Adelaide defensively this quarter. You can see that they've really tightened up. And they're forcing him either wide, now slow, and now they're going to have to kick down the line, which is what they weren't.
Ooh. Roughhead went to Noble, whose kick was smothered in the pocket. Hands out towards Walker, who ran into the goal and missed it through the right-hand side. Gee, that was good pressure from Adelaide, but couldn't finish it off. A minor score to Tex. It's a 10-point game now.
What about the master here? I'm standing next to him. You've done this, you call that, and you've done it again. Hey, you just snapped your fingers, said how good the defensive work. Taylor Smothers, have a shot on goal. Anything else?
Not at the moment.
Well, Stephen Williams was the answer. I think I'm going to change it.
Collingwood, meanwhile, as Jamo waxes lyrical, deciding to go out to the eastern side from the kick-in. They kept it short when they were forced into a contest. Now the ball on the ground, and towards the boundary line goes Smith for Adelaide. Taps it away from Dacos. Ball will be thrown in between half-back for Collingwood and centre wing out there on the eastern side.
5 inside 50s to Adelaide. Collingwood haven't been past the centre in this quarter.
So toss back in. O'Brien up against Lynch. Lynch got rid of O'Brien in the ruck contest. Neither of them tapped it down. Pendlebury with a hand pass at the back to Crisp. Centres his kick for the Pies. Bit over the head of Poulter. Coming to assist, though, Bianco gets it back to him. Now sends it up the western side to left half forward. De Goey in a one-on-one. Tried to use the body to get Smith away. Trying to advantage Murphy. He was under pressure from Brodie Smith. As a result, the Crows get a hand pass away to Chase Jones, who's wrapped up by Bianco. Didn't dispose of it cleanly. Free kick to the Pies. Trent Bianco's about 60 from goal as the free kick.
How does that happen? The umpire just give the football back to the player.
He just wants things to happen in a hurry.
Bianco pops it into left forward pocket. To go, he's been left alone. Runs out, takes the mark, tightest of angles. About 15 to 20 out from goal.
That's unusual.
Just wants to get involved, Jamie.
Plays on quickly. De Goey curling it around from the impossible angle. Jordan De Goey. That is beautiful. Collingwood answer back their first goal of the second quarter. They push their lead out to 16 points. 6 straight 36. Adelaide 3-2-20. 9.5 minutes gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it was 2-on-2 there, wasn't it, on the half-back line? And I think it was...
Shoal.
I think it was Duday first initially in the contest. He got it over to Chase Jones and he tried to get around. I think he was hoping for the free to be high, but ended up getting caught holding the ball. Just get rid of it.
He had the ball stuck in one arm, was thinking about trying to drop it onto his foot, and one of his teammates literally took it out of his hands, and the umpire said, well, sorry, you're gone.
Oh, pass a parcel.
Without the music.
6 straight for Collingwood, 3-2 Adelaide. Ball back in the middle. Down it goes. O'Brien advantaged by it. He just taps it straight forward at 12 o'clock. Picked up by Sire for Collingwood. Got out of a tackle. Slipped a hand pass. Partially smothered. McHenry picked it up for Adelaide. His hand pass no good. Chris picked it up. Hand passed it forward. McHenry intercepted. Was taken high. Now he's given it to Schonberg. Walker on the lead. And he hits him well. Walker in front of the eyes and in front of his opponent as well in Roughhead. And he's going to go back and have a look at the goal face because the mark's inside 50, about 45 out. Walker will have to kick this 50, and you'd think you'd back him for at least a score.
He didn't like the attention, but he's beaten Roughhead every time in front when he leads up at the footy. Highly dependent upon how the football is coming in, but he's at his best when he does that.
Walker crosses 50, starts it on the right, stays there for the minus score for Adelaide. By this standards this afternoon, they've been inaccurate. 3-3 plays 6 straight. Adelaide trailing by 15 points.
1-3 to Taylor Walker.
Pies wasting little time. Moore pierces his kick towards the arc. Crisp will take it. Plays on. McAdam's right on him. Kicks out wide. Finds Pendlebury at right half back inside the boundary line. Left all alone as well, the Pies skipper. Has a bit of time to think about it and then pops it short down the line to Magid. The crowd has been fairly quiet most of the afternoon. Collingwood has had most of the control. Magid heads up towards centre wing on the eastern side. To a contest. Duday did well. Spoiled it behind Murphy. And over the boundary line to be tossed back in. On the text line, Bob and Joan texting in on 0437 774 774. Listening from Julia Creek saying, go Crows in outback Queensland. That's where they're listening.
Well, I think that happens to be my mother, Aaron. Travelling around Australia right at the moment. Premier J.
We're a family here at the ABC. Ball in the contest. O'Brien comes through, takes it out of mid-air, but it had come off the foot of Thomas and only went about 10 metres high and about 2 metres forward. So umpire will come in, separate the players again. Often said Collingwood travels well. Well, they don't travel interstate often, but they've won their last 3 against Adelaide here at the Adelaide Oval. Now, from the ruck contest, comes to ground again, and Sire with a big tackle for Collingwood forces another ball up as they rumble the ball towards their forward 50. They haven't been in there often in this quarter.
Tap down from Darcy Cameron for the Pies. Fell towards Crisp. Tried to get a hand pass away under pressure from Laird. Just flicked it behind his head looking for Pendlebury. Couldn't take it cleanly. Maynard under pressure tried to get it out as well. Schonberg comes in, spins and gets a hand pass away for the Crows. Hamill heads towards De Goey though. He got caught in a tackle. Messy football on the eastern side. Finally, the Crows use the numbers advantage. Hamill goes forward to McHenry. Under pressure, got it to Laird. Now Keys through the eastern side. They'll go. Seedsman over the top. Finds Rowe. Has a man free at left half forward. Fogarty gets some time. Kicks to the left forward pocket. McAdam rises. Can't take it. Walker comes to assist. Hands it back to McAdam. Run down in the tackle. His eyes were firmly on the goal. He was about to snap it through from 5 out. And caught from behind. It's a great run-down attempt from Will Hoskin-Elliott. Free kick to Collingwood in their defensive 50.
Bit selfish, Shane McAdam. Just handball the ball to Keys. Easy goal. Well done by Magid. That was a great effort one-on-one to get that done.
Well done, Paul Seaman too, just to intercept that Collingwood kick coming out of defence. Handballs in this quarter alone, 29-11. Adelaide's way, just over handballing, way too much, not hitting the mark, and just putting teammates under pressure. So then you don't handball when you should have.
Seedsman forced the ball over the line from the ruck contest. Walker got it in his hand, snapped it forward. McAdam couldn't take the mark in the left forward pocket, and it trickles over the boundary line. So it'll be thrown in in that right forward pocket for Adelaide, just a metre or two from the behind post.
It's a big game for Shane McAdam. 3 touches goalless last week. He wouldn't want another performance like that. Walker just nudges Cameron out of the ruck, takes it, curls it from 30 out.
Touched.
Oh. It's through for the minor score. Taylor Walker using the body very well there. Another behind for him. 14-point game now. Collingwood up 6 straight 36 to 3-4-22.
It's getting like Tom Hawkins. Surely opponents know what's going to happen when Walker's in a ruck contest. So Quinal from the back pocket for Collingwood goes down the line. This is on the broadcast side. Ball falls over the back. Laird and then Hamill and then O'Connor, Keys, all hand passes. Jones finally ends up with it. Gave it by foot to Schonberg. He couldn't take the mark. He puts it 25 from goal. Walker picks it up, taken down in a tackle. And straight out in front of the goal face at that River Torrens end of the ground. Walker pulled down. We'll get a ball up.
Quaynor, great tackle too on the big man.
So again, Walker in the ruck up against Cameron. Tries to use the body. In front position, tapped it down to no one in particular. Spills out towards Crisp, who got a clearing kick for Collingwood. Worked well. It just went over the head of Chase Jones. Bianco takes it. Plays on under pressure. His hand pass, an ugly one. Coming through. Ronan O'Connor caught in the tackle. Elliott got him holding the ball. Collingwood lucky there. Played on. Their surge football nearly cost them. Jamie Elliott now in the centre square. Continues to want to move it fast. Plays on, pops it towards the 50. A 2-on-1 against Murphy. He brought it to ground. Then gathers his own ball. Caught in the tackle from Laird. Ball ricochets out. Elliott pops it back into the 50. The Crows have plenty of numbers sitting back. And Lockie Scholl takes the intercept mark.
Scholl decides to go back defensively to McPherson. Rare touch for him. Dangerous. Goes back to the corridor with a short ball. Fortunately, it didn't turn it over. So Adelaide will retain control and decide to go into the pocket. And this time, Duday, as the crowd gets a little bit restless with this from Adelaide. Duday plays on. Outside defensive 50 with a kick right down the line. O'Brien takes a strong mark ahead of his direct opponent in Cameron, right where the interchange gates are.
Just at times, Crossy, Adelaide making the easy game really hard too, Campo.
So O'Brien, true centre wing, called to play on. Decides to head down the line. Plenty of players waiting there. No one reached the ball in time, though. Off a few hands, Laird sliding in, gets a hand pass out towards O'Connor, spins around and kicks it into the 50 and hits the chest of Darcy Moore. The Pies again wasting little time. Dangerous kick to centre-half back, turned it over. Sloane cuts it off, hands it to Fogarty from 45. He heads home. It's too far right again. Another minor score to Adelaide. Their 4th of the second quarter. Only broken up by a major from Jordan De Goey for the Pies. It's now a 13-point game. 6 straight 36 Collingwood. Adelaide 3-5-23. 17 and a half gone in the second.
Roughhead brings the ball back into play, goes to this broadcast side of the ground and eventually off the hands of Laird and over the line. We'll get a throw in. Interesting with Fogarty in that situation. He had a chance to straighten. He went with his left foot straight away. So the ball to be thrown in. Collingwood by 13 points. And Thilthorpe knocked it down for Laird. He's taken in a tackle straight away by Sidebottom. Stares at the umpire. Umpire says, give it to me.
10 inside 50s Adelaide to Collingwood 3. They just dominated quarter. 9-3 clearance. Winning contested possession by 8 as well.
Cameron got the tap down, but Laird was there for the Crows. Handed it off towards Scholl into the 50. Walker gets rid of his opponent. Dives into the football. Takes it low to ground. He can go back from 40 out straight in front. A chance for Tex to kick his second.
That occasion, Darcy Moore. The Roughheads drop back on to Darcy Fogarty deep. Again, just playing in front, too strong.
Been a busy quarter for Tex.
Said 8 disposals leading the way in this quarter for Adelaide. Keys 6, Laird 6. Crisp for Collingwood with 8. Then it drops down to Scott Pendlebury with 3 and Darcy Moore 3.
3 behind so far, though. Can he make amends? Kicks from 50, too far left. Another minor score. 1 goal 4 for Tex this quarter. And the Crows, with a run of 5 behinds, now down by 12 points.
Walker 1 goal 5 for the match. Collingwood bring it in. They'll be in trouble again as Laird. Well, he just got a tumble kick forward. Interesting. I don't think that was 10 metres, let alone 15. Anyway, Collingwood have got it back in their hands. Poulter now receives it from Madgen, who made that intercept mark. So Poulter just on defensive 50 at left half back on this broadcast side. Called the play on eventually. Down the line he goes with a kick and high. And big pack forms off hands again. Butts did well. Got the hands up and then got the ball over the top and then kicked down the line, and McAdam was first to read it. And he took the mark just outside attacking 50. Slots the ball inside looking for Walker. It's punched away from him. Thomas was at the foot there for Collingwood. Gave it to Pendlebury by hand and then he gave it to Hoskin Elliott, and they're out on the far side of the ground.
Rantel gathers, hand pass over the top looking for Hoskin Elliott. The Pies continue to surge up to right half forward. Thomas now heads to the scoreboard pocket. Dugowie brought down in the contest. Intercept mark taken by Duday as they both fell to ground. The Crows now with a central kick to Smith. He's about 35 out from the defensive goal line.
Sydney played St Kilda today. Sydney won by 9 points. Jack Higgins kicked 1 goal 6 in that game.
Looked almost in tears as he exited the ground as well, knowing what had happened and how close they got. The Crows head out to the eastern side off a few hands. Hoskin Elliott's tackled to ground, ball up to come. Seedsman caught him in the end. Currently it is the Pies by 12 points. Time on in the second on Grandstand AFL. Tapped down by Thilthorpe straight to Schomburg. Threw it on the boot down the line. Moore reads it best. Beats Fogarty in the contest and takes the intercept mark for Collingwood.
Goes sideways just for a change. Rough hit. Transition complete to this side of the ground. Doesn't quite make it. Jones read the angle for Adelaide. Came across, knocked it away from Bianco and over the line for the throw in at right half forward for Adelaide. It's been a good quarter in most ways for Adelaide, except from the scoreboard.
O'Brien, the only ruckman who went up, decided to tap it down regardless, went towards the boundary line and rolls over to be tossed back in. On the text line, Jake, listening in, has texted from Leonora in WA Goldfields and is excited for the Golden Gift this weekend. Also, Koso in Bayswater, WA, is asking, what is the highest amount of straight goals only this year? I believe it was Adelaide against Hawthorn in Tasmania. 12 or 13, I think they got in the first half. From the ruck contest, McHenry flicks it out to Laird. High into the 50 he goes. Quaynor sitting underneath it, spilt the open mark. Walker comes in, he's caught in the tackle, driven into the turf. Push in the back. Free kick against Isaac Quaynor. Taylor Walker has it, pops it short. A dangerous kick, I'm not even sure that was 15. Mark's been paid though. McHenry now has it, 30 from goal. Tighter angle to the right. So Walker kicked it from 45 and he's probably just hit 30 now.
Well, it's probably fair enough. There's been some Collingwood marks that were a bit dubious in terms of the overall distance as well, Aaron. But pretty good decision, I think, by Tex. You know, just to get a little bit closer. He hasn't been kicking that well. Ned McHenry, normally reasonable set shot.
5-2 for the year. McHenry comes in, kicks from 35. It's looking left, but it's coming back. A late bend and Ned McHenry gets the major. The Crows finally convert one after 5 shots on goal. Their third goal of the second quarter. And we're down to a 1-goal game. It's 6 points the margin. 6 straight 36 Collingwood to 4-6-30 Adelaide. Plenty of numbers in that update, but it's a tight game in the second quarter. 22 minutes gone on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, they've dominated the quarter. That's their 14th inside 50, Adelaide, 4th for Collingwood. And we spoke about their clearance work. Adelaide 12-3, winning contested ball by 14. Handball receives, even though we've said they've handballed a lot, the forward handballs, the ones that go forward, are the most damaging ones. Really important. Collingwood hold on here. 3 goals, 5. Adelaide haven't really had reward for effort for the quarter, but the thing I've loved is they've shut down that uncontested mark game. Only 18 so far for the quarter.
Collingwood on a 3-game losing streak. They've lost 8 of their past 9. You can see sometimes how they can be dominated. Out of the middle, though, side bottom gets the clearance for Collingwood. Duday picks it up on the bounce at half back for Adelaide. Takes it away near the interchange gates. Goes the kick, and Quaynor read it best ahead of Rowe to take the mark for Collingwood. So Pies will load up again late in this second term. They've kicked 6 straight.
Quaynor to left half forward. Myercheck flew high but couldn't take it. Flicked out from Elliott towards Dacos. Curls it around into the 50 to go. He rises. McPherson reads it best though. Comes across, spoils it over the boundary line to be tossed back in.
Spent most of his time in the forward half, Jordan De Goey, this second quarter. He just doesn't. He's I think they're trying to play him like a Dustin Martin type scenario, but no, I've got a fair bit of the football around in the middle of the ground in the early part of the first.
Oh, the ball just spewed forward out of the ruck contest. Elliott picked it up and off the left foot he slides home his 5th goal of the game. What a finish from Elliott, just under the arms of the approaching Adelaide player. He was very quick, ball to boot, and reacted so well, and gives Collingwood a 7 straight 42 scoreline to Adelaide 4-6-30 after 24, nearly 25 minutes gone in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Ben Keys was versus him at that forward 50 stoppage. Didn't do a lot wrong, Keys, but just allowed him just to get goal side, and the ball just flipped forward. And one touch, Jamie Elliott, and then really smart in probably dewy conditions, the understanding or the footy IQ to actually kick it under his arms and skid it through. 5 in the game till half-time. He's had a fair return.
Complete mirror image of last week. At half-time, Collingwood was 0-7. They're now 7 straight here at the Adelaide Oval, leading Adelaide 4-6.
Week's a long time in footy.
Clean bounce in the middle. Max Lynch with the tap, heading towards side bottom. Gathered off the bounce. A hand pass to Crisp. Heads towards the 50. At left half forward, it'll just drop towards Murphy. May have been held by Chase Jones. Free kick going Collingwood's way. Nathan Murphy to receive it. He's about 60 out from goal on the left. And quickly the Crows players will flood into their defensive 50. Murphy centres his kick about 35 from home, leading out a fair few players. Butts at the front, couldn't take it. Spilt to Crisp. Threw it on the left. It's all the way across the goal face, out of bounds on the full in the scoreboard pocket. Free kick to Adelaide, who are down by 12.
McKay will take the free kick back in the left back pocket in front of the scoreboard there. For all Adelaide's dominance of this quarter, they trail by 23 at half-time. They're still trail by 12 points. Kick to the outer side, goes to Thilthorpe, takes the mark immediately down and goes centrally with a kick, which was dangerous, hence Jamo's reaction.
Oh, it's one Adelaide player to 3, Collingwood.
Sloan took it, now he's transferred it to this broadcast side of the ground at Jones. Jones hand pass inboard, looks for Butts. He decides to go down the line, don't know about that kick. Picked off by Moore, and McAdam, who was perhaps the target, got a knee in the ribs for his trouble. Moore then stabs a kick out on the full. Execution of skills has been a problem in this match from both sides.
Cue the Benny Hill music.
So the Crows now bring it into play. Jones pops it short to Seedsman. Still on the western wing. Decides to send it long towards the right forward pocket. Walker's alone, had some eyes for it in the pack. Thilthorpe tapped it down. McAdam tried to soccer off the ground. Was smothered over the boundary line to be tossed back in. On the text line, Kevin's messaged in saying, sick of watching this rubbish, so I'm just listening to you fellows instead. Fair enough.
I don't know, what, to talk rubbish or... Or is it?
I'd hope our brand's a little better than the brand of footy that's out there. Walker taps it down straight to McHenry, busting through from 30. Was wrapped up by a couple. Ball up to come in front of the goal face for the Crows. About 25 out. They're still down by 12, late stages of the second.
On the air, Walker just lets it fall in front of him. Through came Moreau, got hand on it. Then Thilthorpe, his kick smothered. He went to Maynard, hand pass to Dacos, showed the ball, ducked back in, got a right foot kick down the line, did pretty well. Off hands, it'll come back in through Jones. Off his left foot, 25 from goal, smashed forward by Moore, picked up by Laird. Hand pass wide goes to Seedsman. One step, ball fading, and it sneaks in, I think. It is a goal for Adelaide. Team lifter from Seedsman late in the quarter. Adelaide just grabs that margin back to 1 goal. Adelaide 5-6-36, trailing Collingwood 7 straight 42. 28 and a half gone. Grandstand AFL down to Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
This quarter will get worse for Collingwood. Braden Sire has gone down to the rooms looking a little bit groggy. I'll keep you updated with any developments.
Well, Paul Seedsman, he's had a great year, Jamo. I've been really impressed with what he's done. He's played more wing today, which is something different. They've gone with Laird, Sloan and Keys a bit more. Normally, he's been that third one that gives them a bit of balance through there. But what a wonderful kick he is. Off one step. There's not too many players in the competition can finish like that.
He has. He's only had 1 or 2 bad games. West Coast was probably his worst. But when class players get the football, Rory Laird under pressure, the bullet-like handball out to the right spot to allow Paul Seedsman to settle down and have a shot.
6-point game. O'Brien taps it down to Laird. Now a hand pass to Keys, who has plenty of space in the square. Runs forward, sends it long into the 50. Philthorpe's there, got hands to it. Madgen nudged him just underneath it and cleared by Maynard for the Pies. Off a few hands, side bottom comes. He's caught in a tackle from Jones. Seedsman comes to assist as well. Ball up to come at right half forward for Adelaide. Down by 6, but they trailed by 23 at the first break. It's certainly game on at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, it's almost holding the ball. I mean, prior opportunity with the fend-off, that's your prior.
Ball in the air from the umpire. Dacos, kick smothered by O'Brien. Hand passes a little severe inside, picked up by Pendlebury for Collingwood. He'll come away from half back, considers his options, goes towards the boundary line. He finds it in the end, although it was Duday taking it across. He had no other option. It was very skillfully done by the Collingwood captain, Pendlebury.
And he just gave De Goey and Myercheck a real cook, as say, lead up at me, give me something.
Toss back in. O'Brien in the front position, got it down to Seedsman. Laird now to Sloane in front of the benches. Curls around, heads up to the arc. Leading out, Philthorpe again just flew a little bit too underneath it. Ricochets into the 50 though. McHenry wraps up Quaino. Got a hand pass away. Spills to McAdam. Gets boot to ball. It's dribbling slowly to the goal line. Poulter gathers. He's wrapped up by Schonberg. Inside the pocket. It'll be a ball up just towards the goal line. Still inside Adelaide's attacking 50, and they've got 21 seconds to work with.
Shane McAdam again. Is it selfish again? Well, I just don't like that. You know, I know he's not in great form and he's trying to manufacture something, but do the team thing. That's an easy handball and probably a shot on goal.
Collingwood rumble the ball out to about 25 from the goal phase without a clean possession, just harassing and pushing and tackling, and finally force another ball up. So we're closing in on half-time. Not maybe a touchdown and a kick is all we've got left in this quarter. Ball comes down. We'll get another ball up. No, we won't. It's picked up by Sidebottom. He got it out, and it was cleared by Crisp. But that's it for the first half. It was engaging at times. It was accuracy from Collingwood, but not in the kicking around the ground at times. It was less than skillful, shall we say. But in the end, we've got a close one. At half-time, it's Collingwood 7 goals straight, 42. Adelaide 5-6, 36.
4 goals to 2 in that quarter meant Adelaide could reduce that margin down to 6 points. The goal kickers at the major break for the Pies. Jamie Elliott with a handful in the first half. So 5 goals to him, singles to De Goey and Thomas. Meanwhile, for the Crows, all individual goal scorers: Philthorpe, Seedsman, Walker, McHenry and Fogarty. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch with us this evening, 0437 774 774. Mix texted in, on the tractor sowing wheat at Tumby Bay, says the Crows to kick away this quarter. I imagine he's talking about the third term, but they certainly have the momentum at the moment after Collingwood's hot start. Bill says the Crows are clearly lacking the skill of AFL standard. They've had years to get that part of their game right. Or, I mean, technically, the majority of these players are in their second year, so some of them are probably still getting it better. But you're right, it has been an ugly game of football, Bill. And Fran in Melbourne's texted in saying, go Pies. I will take any type of win I think I can get because of the huge thumping we'll probably get next week against Melbourne. Do you think Nathan Buckley will be our coach next year? So that's a pretty big topic that we might touch on very shortly. Firstly, with Jamo and Campo, your analysis of the first half.
Well, look, I think Collingwood dominated that first quarter. Well, dominated is probably not the right word, but they certainly owned the ball with that uncontested mark change that we spoke about. Adelaide tidied that up. They only allowed them 20 marks that quarter. That makes a massive difference to making sure that you can actually have an influence with the ball. And no surprise, Jamo, Adelaide 20 inside 50s to 7. Now, probably didn't get reward for effort in terms of what they got. 4 goals, 5. And even the efficiency going in there, that's probably, you know, anything under 50% is probably not good enough in terms of AFL level, but they're giving themselves the opportunities. They're dominating clearance, 24 to 15 for the quarter. So they're actually got control even around the contest as well. But, you know, Taylor Walker, 1 goal, 5. You know, he probably hasn't had his kicking boots on today, to be fair, but most of those have been from long range as well, to be fair. But Jamie Elliott's been the difference, really, between the two sides. He's kicked 5 straight. So on the flip side, they've been really efficient going forward on the flip side compared to Adelaide. But I love what Jack Crisp and Pendlebury are doing. They're flipping in from midfield to to half back, having a real influence. But once again, led 21 disposals, Keys and Seedsman are the ones that are winning the ball for Adelaide. But good response from Adelaide in terms of what they needed to do.
And the amount of football that Adelaide have had in that first half is their defenders had a lot of the football as well. When you go, Pendlebury's had 11, Roughhead 11, Poulter 10, Moore 10, Quaynard 9, and then Elliott, who's been the standout. And as you touched on, in that first half, kicking 5 goals, he's had only the 8 disposals too. So efficiency great, inside 50s in that quarter you touched on. I think the improvement came a little bit from the defensive work in the forward half with the amount of football they had in there. I thought Chase Jones, his effort to be able to tackle and smother was good. Ned Big Henry just continually being a pest around the football. James Rowe needs to find more of it. He's only had 3 disposals to half time, so that hurts. The other one too, Lockie Scholl 4. But when you Darcy Fogarty, he's around the mark, but he probably needs to do a lot more. He's only had the 1 mark in that first half. So there's a lot of players that need to lift, but we keep going back to the ability to be able to use the football inside 50. They're just hoping that, one of the players is going to take a mark up forward. But Roughhead and Moore are doing all the work in the back half for Collingwood, and they're holding on considering the amount of football that Adelaide had.
So from the Collingwood side of things, Fran's text about Nathan Buckley, we touched on it earlier today on SA Grandstand, Campo, that I think it's ugly football, but it's keeping them in contest. So they lost by a point to Port Adelaide, by 10 to Geelong. Tonight they're up at the moment at half-time by 6, and it's not pretty, but it's working for them.
Yeah, well, it's a real fine line. You can see that what he's trying to do, he's got Poulter in there, so he's trying to play some of the young guys. Isaac Quaynor's playing, Dacos is playing, John Noble's playing. So he's trying to, Bianco is a young player coming in for his first season. So you can see he's trying to implement some of the younger guys and give them an opportunity. You can see that Pendlebury's not playing midfield minutes. They're actually trying to get some of those younger guys through there, and he's playing a bit more off half-back. With Chris, they're sort of flipping in and out. So from that point of view, you can see what he's trying to do. In terms of the game plan, I think he's probably made a decision, having seen it live now, that he doesn't have a key forward to kick to like Taylor Walker or Darcy Fogarty. He's really only had Mychek really forward of the ball to kick to. So and Jamie Elliott, and all of his marks have all been on the lead-up. So you can see that he probably doesn't have a key forward like the other teams, like a Hawkins and these sort of teams that have got focal points up there. I'm sure they'd be looking to find some of those players in the draft or try and trade those guys in the end of the season, because the way they're playing is not sustainable, because two teams, once the team shut down that uncontested mark chain, all of a sudden it dries up. It then gets forced to get kicked down the line, and then what that does is they're undersized ahead of the ball, and they haven't got any key position players other than Darcy Moore, and we've seen that they tried that and then put him back a few weeks ago. So I can see why Nathan and the match committee are doing what they're doing now, having seen it live. Is it sustainable? I don't think so.
Just to note that Nathan Buckley also desperate because he's coached 99 losses in his career at Collingwood, so this would be his 100th, obviously.
And don't imagine there'd be a Gatorade shower for that one if you bring up your hundy.
I almost think the club sabotaged him a lot through his coaching career. When you have a look at the history that he's done, I think he's battled a lot of players doing things they shouldn't have been doing, and then going and then lying to the club as well. And there's certain matters that they've always popped up their head, and Campo touched on it prior to this game. The club could not be any more dysfunctioned right now, right across the board. When you're going to split the board and split the club in the manner in which they're going down, having a look at their injury list too. Brodie Grundy is obviously a huge out. Jeremy Howe, not being in the side, probably restricts, even continue to play. Darcy Moore forward. Mason Cox, a tall forward that, Nathan Buckley has continually just persevered with too. So, there's only 3 players that sit on the injury list there, but I think, to Campo's point, he's trying to play with what he's got. And I just think Jordan Ngoe is much more better in the middle of the ground than he is up forward, because they just can't get it in there. Jamie Elliott, the key foot, then they've got it in there quick, and they've been able to highlight and use the football well. So they're going to get it in there, the efficiency. They know. They just keep it holding the footy, so to not allow the opposition to actually get too much of it and do the damage. But they've kicked some big scores throughout the game, or out the year, too. 7, 16, 11, 9 and 11. And they've lost, I think you touched on it, 3 games within 10 points, and 2 of those were a point on each occasion. So, he's been a bit stiff this year, but I think the club has sabotaged him across the journey. You would think history would. Are they going to persevere and stick by him to be able to rebuild this club? They're at a crucial point.
Harsh on the text line. Don't forget to leave your name and where you're from when you message in. Agent 883 says, what the hell could Collingwood be any more defensive? So boring. The moronic commentators on ABC think Buckley's game plan is A-OK. They're up at half-time, so at the end of the day, it is working for them, as unappealing as it is.
Moronic?
Moronic's a bit harsh, I think. Plenty more text to run through following the major break here, but Collingwood is up by 6 points over Adelaide. They led by 23 at the first break. The Crows kicking 4 goals to 2 in that second quarter. We'll give you some scores from around the country as well. But for now on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital, it's time to head to the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Victoria's recorded 5 new locally acquired cases of COVID-19, including 2 unlinked cases, as health authorities work to track to the source of a highly infectious strain of the virus in the community. Mary McDonald reports.
The Health Minister Martin Foley says 2 of the new cases had the Delta variant and are both close contacts of existing cases in the West Melbourne cluster. The other new infections are a household contact of a worker at Arcare Maidstone and 2 people from the same household who visited shopping centres at Craigieburn and Epping, which had been listed as public exposure sites. Mr Foley says contact tracing continues.
The focus of our efforts over the past day have been casting a wide net around particularly that West Melbourne, North Melbourne outbreak.
Authorities say 3 of the new cases had already been in isolation when they received positive results.
Police have arrested 2 people and fined 16 following a protest in Melbourne's CBD against COVID vaccinations and lockdowns. One man was arrested after failing to provide his name and address. Another was taken into custody and charged with offences including resisting police. Others were fined for failing to wear a mask or travelling outside of their 10-kilometre lockdown radius. The federal opposition says the Prime Minister is playing petty politics over a Queensland proposal for a dedicated quarantine facility. The Commonwealth is supporting a Victorian plan for a purpose-built facility in that state and has agreed to fund its construction. But Labor is accusing the federal government of dismissing a Queensland proposal for a hub near Toowoomba before properly assessing the project. The Shadow Health Minister Mark Butler says the nation needs a network of quarantine facilities.
We heard at estimates this week that the Department of Health has not even been asked to assess the health merits of this Queensland proposal. Scott Morrison is clearly playing petty politics with this issue of quarantine.
Health authorities in the United States are urging teenagers to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show 1 in 3 teenagers hospitalized from the illness earlier this year needed an ICU admission. The CDC says they're deeply concerned about the number of hospitalized adolescents and saddened to see the number needing treatment in intensive care units or on mechanical ventilation. An advisor to former federal Liberal MP Craig Kelly has been charged with sexual assault offences in Sydney's south. It's alleged Frank Zumbo sexually touched and indecently assaulted 3 women in their 20s and a teenage girl over a 6-year period. The 53-year-old's been refused bail and is facing court today. The British government set to require tenders for major public sector contracts to commit to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The move's being hailed as a world first. Bidders will have to publish clear and credible reduction plans before they can bid for public sector contracts worth more than $9 million. An unofficial tribunal in Britain has begun hearing first-hand evidence of alleged human rights abuses against Uyghur people in northwestern China. The panel of lawyers and experts in London will hear from witnesses over 4 days to decide if there's evidence that human rights violations have taken place. One of the witnesses, Abdul Ali Ayub, spent 18 months in detention in Xinjiang and says the hearing provides an opportunity to tell his story.
We know already 5 parliament recognize the genocide and the crime against humanity, and we hope other parliaments will recognize this. I hope we get the international attention and tell the world what's happening there.
Researchers are warning that deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon may already be affecting rainfall with serious implications for agriculture. Here's the BBC's Candice Piet.
Environmentalists have long warned of the connection between deforestation in the Amazon and low rainfall. The forest is a key generator of rain further south. A new study by German and Brazilian researchers suggests Brazil's agricultural sector is already losing around $1 billion a year because of drought. Ministers have been meeting this week to discuss the dangerously low levels in essential hydro dams. The researchers looked at rainfall changes in the last 10 years in the southern Amazon, where a third of forests have already been illegally logged.
And a teenage girl's in a serious condition in hospital after being knocked out during a game of rugby league on the New South Wales Central Coast. ABC News.
For the latest sports results and stories from around the globe and at home, check out ABC Sport on our social pages. Just search ABC Sport wherever you scroll.
Now, where was I up to in Fisk? Wait, I can set up a free ABC account. Charlie Pickering. Too easy. So from July, we'll need to log in to stream shows on ABC iView. It's easy to set up and we'll be able to pick up watching where we left off, even if we switch from smart TV to mobile. Good for watching Bluey on lunch breaks.
For more information about your free ABC account, head to abc.net.au/ABC account.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sloan gets it out to Keys, hand pass to Laird, back to Smith, now out wide to McKay, who's got some space at left half forward, kicks it into the pocket, he's looking for Thilthorpe, who got rid of his opponent, takes the mark, runs into the open goal, Riley Thilthorpe gets his first. Bianco pops it into left forward pocket to go, he's been left alone. Runs out, takes the mark, tightest of angles, about 15 to 20 out from goal. Plays on quickly, De Goey curling it around from the impossible angle, Jordan De Goey. That is beautiful.
The ball just spewed forward out of the ruck contest. Elliott picked it up and off the left foot he slides home his 5th goal of the game. What a finish, Jones. Off his left foot, 25 from goal, smashed forward by Moore, picked up by Laird. Hand pass wide goes to Seedsman. One step, ball fading, and it sneaks in, I think. It is a goal for Adelaide.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It hasn't been pretty, but we've got a game on our hands at the Adelaide Oval to continue round 12 in the second half of Sir Doug Nicholls' Indigenous round. It's Collingwood leading by 6 points at the major break after leading by 23 at quarter time. Jamie Elliott with a handful already and basically serving as Collingwood's key forward this afternoon, or this evening now, for the Crows, all individual goal scorers for them, and managing to stay into the hunt after a 4-goal-to-2 term in the second quarter. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson. The text line this evening, 0437 774 774. Very excited as well to head to Perth Stadium next for Dreamtime in the West with Clint Wilden, Ben Cameron, Sharad Wellingham and David Mundy. On that text line, plenty of messages in from WA. I imagine most of these listeners are getting ready for Dreamtime, except for Gravy, who's up at Carnup, WA. He says, lads, listening to the footy, packing the camper, headed to me mates Mellon's 50th in Northern WA, hoping for a quick early afternoon before the festivities begin. Hopefully you get there safe, Gravy, and I love Northam. I'm from WA and it's one of my favourite regional places to visit, so I had a few camping trips out there, so I hope you enjoy it, Gravy. John's messaged in and said in the discussion of who Collingwood's next tall forward will be, Mason Cox will probably come back in, says John, and the new recruit Ash Johnson will play forward. Also Darcy Cameron can play forward, so they've got some tall timber. So Darcy Cameron has been playing forward tonight but hasn't had an impact on the scoreboard. Ash Johnson is an interesting one, the Sturt product who picked up in the mid-season draft, who I imagine would be watching the Collingwood tonight, considering the fact that he's waiting to join them, but certainly one that could make an impact should they decide to use him in the second half of the year. Ruth has also texted in from WA saying, hi team, my husband and I always enjoy listening to your call of the game while we do the gardening rather than the TV. Thanks so much. hope it's been a nice day and good weather for you to do the gardening in WA as we head towards the evening period, although it'll be about 4 o'clock over there at the moment, so hopefully it's pretty pleasant weather for them ahead of Dreamtime in the West.
You're not sure what time it is in WA?
Yeah, it changes all the time because
He's forgotten his roots already now, hasn't he?
You've got the time difference in WA, the time difference in Victoria. Sometimes Queensland is different. It's an absolute nightmare. And I feel like Adelaide's the worst place to be in as a result of that because of the half hour. But anyway.
Everyone's got a story, mate.
Got the math there eventually.
Everybody's in front of WA. That's the
way to go. It's always afternoon there when it's evening here. We'll just leave it at that. Both teams out on the field. Decent crowd in. We haven't seen many theatrics in terms of patrons trying to dodge the ball after goals being kicked, which we know was a big theme coming in. But yeah, a decent crowd nonetheless, even though the first 2 rows have been left empty with Collingwood's fly-in, fly-out exemption. Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, your experts. Just quickly, I'll give you some of the scores from around the country. Pretty quiet at the moment. So in the netball, just the one game, the West Coast Fever defeating Collingwood 78-55. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points. Jake Lloyd had 27 touches, Will Hayward 3 goals. Jack Higgins kicked 1 goal, 6 for St Kilda. They had the lead at the 23-minute mark of the third quarter, but Sydney fought back and ultimately got the 4 points there, defeating St Kilda by 9. Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, the second half nearly underway. What are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting the same from Adelaide, really. They would have been pretty positive at half-time as to what they were able to do to get the game back onto their term. The impressive thing is they had 12 turnovers in their attacking mid. That suggests that their pressure's on much better, and they had 12 inside 50s and kicked 3 goals too. That would have been probably the thing that Matthew Nicks would have put up on the whiteboard along with his contested possession.
Just some quick news as well from the MRO. Dane Zorko has been charged with striking Tom McDonald last night and has been offered a 1-match sanction with an early plea. So it was deemed to be high contact, intentional conduct, which is what has got him, and low impact, because we did see Tom McDonald immediately get back up and help Zorko to his feet. But because it was intentional, it has now been a 1-match sanction offered to Dane Zorko.
And it was an elbow too. It was silly. It was really silly at the time.
Quickly down to Jack Paqueta before bounce down.
Some interesting news down here for Collingwood. Still no Braden Sire. We saw him go into the rooms at the end of that second quarter, but Callum Brown, the medical sub, still has the jacket on.
5 goals from Jamie Elliott, the highlight of the first half for Collingwood. Here we go. The Pies lead by 6 points. And out of the middle, it'll be a centre break. I was about to say Adelaide, but there was holding, and it'll go to Collingwood, and it won't be play on advantage to De Goey. It'll go to Dacos for Collingwood, centre of the ground. Drops it short, very short, in fact, to Pendlebury, who takes the mark. And Pendlebury, again, they'll persist with the short stuff. Gets it to De Goey. Both those kicks went around the 15 mark.
There he is again.
Penetrating, looking for Elliott on the lead. Comes off hands. Snap at goal is away for the minor score from Murphy. So Collingwood the first minor score of this game. Starts the second half. 7-1 Collingwood on the board and 5-6 for Adelaide. 7 the margin.
I think Jake Kelly was standing Elliott at the time. My check jumped in, which allowed the space, and Elliott straight up the middle of the ground, and the kick was over his head.
Brodie Smith goes long to the centre square, off a few hands at the back of the Packers row. The Crows now through the eastern side. He pops it up, was trying to bounce it in front of Scholl. Cut off by Hoskin Elliott, though. His kick an ugly one down the line and turned over. Now Jones for the Crows. A 1-2 with Laird close to the boundary line. Hands it back to Scholl. He's got Rantle right on him. Kicks up towards right half forward. Moore cuts it off. Can't take the mark, though. Bounces off his chest. Keys can gather. Hands it back for the Crows to Jones. Then Laird curls it into the 50. Front position, Madgen got a fist to it, spilled it down to Crisp. He can clear it straight to Steele Sidebottom, who marks on the eastern wing.
Point of the square, drives it into across the square and into the middle of the ground. Myercheck leads up, takes the mark. He holds and holds. He's got Poulter waving his arms on this side of the ground. He decides to play on and goes deep. He looks for Elliott, who's outmanned but almost able to pull it in. Now on the ground, he picks it up. Hand pass flipped over the top. Adelaide, though, will turn it over, and Keys comes from back. And he hand passes long and wide for Rowe. One of his only kicks for the game. Looks for Walker. Gets his man under the ball, takes it at right half forward, and off the right foot inside 50 finds Philthorpe. He's got a loose man further forward, but he opts to hold and take the shot at goal. Will give us a chance quickly down to Jack Paqueta.
Collingwood has activated their medical substitute, Callum Brown, coming on. Braden Sy out of the game. Collingwood said he has a jaw injury.
Great vision, Taylor Walker.
Phil Thorpe, in he comes from 45. He leans back on the kick and away to the right. Unusual for him because he's been so accurate in his debut season. Minor score, though, returns it to as it was at halftime. A 6-point game in favour of the Magpies.
Mr. Swiggle brings up a pretty important point from Sunnybank on the text line saying Crows haven't won a third quarter all year. At the moment,
good work,
scores are level.
Mr. Squiggle.
Collingwood down by 6. Collingwood up by 6 now, rather, though. DeGoey caught in a tackle. Didn't get a clean hand pass away. McKay got him. Free kick to go back to Adelaide at left half forward. So David McKay, the veteran, looking to snap it around. Doesn't waste many time. Plays on, runs to the arc. He's trying to head to home. Ends up going towards the scoreboard pocket. Collingwood have numbers. Madgen spoils it to ground. Scholl's there to try and gather. He's under pressure. Eventually carries it over the boundary line to be tossed in on the arc and that eastern side. So just short of Adelaide's attacking 50, down by 6 points. 3 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Adelaide don't do themselves any favours when they go inside 50. They just really make it difficult for the target up forward. They've got to work so hard.
Walk around the ruck contest. Got a hand pass out to McAdams. Somehow he scrambled at the Laird, went towards the boundary. McHenry takes it over the boundary in a tackle and will get a throw in out there, just about 55 out from the goals.
So we've had Jamo's parents on the text line. We've had Mr. Swiggle. Sure, we'll get some more interesting ones before this game ends. O'Brien in front position taps it down, looking for Keys. Defensive hand pass to Scholl. Over the top to the boundary line to Laird at right half forward. Skies it high towards the right forward pocket. Phil Thorpe's in front position. Nudged out of it by Moore. Crowder wanted a free kick, won't get it. Moore's hand pass over the top. Finds Hoskin Elliott. Back to Pendlebury. Outside of the boot. Awkward kick. Out of the 50 to O'Brien, who takes the intercept mark for the Crows. Wastes no time. Hands it out wide. Laird with a long kick to the goal square. There's a pack waiting. Madgen got a fist to it. Over the line. Did McAdam get a boot to it on the goal line? So many players clustered around it. Score review is coming.
He doesn't look convinced, Shane, looking on the replay.
From our angle, it looked like it bounced off his chest. He's completely missed it on the left and hit his knee on the right.
Yeah.
And because it's the knee and above the leg, it probably won't count as a shot, will it?
It's missed his, yeah.
His left foot touches with his left foot, but it kicks onto his knee on the right. He called it, Aaron.
But if it touches the left, that should count.
Yeah, but then it bangs on his top of his knee, which is
it's only below the knee.
Yeah.
So
we're going deep into the AFL rulebook here.
Contact with the Adelaide attacker's knee before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
See, you go to the answer again.
Aaron called that. Excellent. Give him some credit.
Thank you, Camper. Scott Camporelli is correct. Minor score to the Adelaide Crows. It's a 5-point game now. Collingwood 7-1-43 to 5-8-38.
What's next, Campo?
Quaynor plays on from fullback and dangerous kick down the corridor. Adelaide with the tackle. Jones, heavy tackle. Umpire circling, but ball in just inside the centre square at the back end for Collingwood. And the umpire calls for the ball up. Last man up there, Rantel, for Collingwood. So the ball in the air. Knocked down towards Lockie Scholl. Tried to get the hands over the top. Side bottom got him. Umpire said, that's your opportunity. He tried to wiggle the hands free instead of handballing. So, off half back, side bottom goes short for Chris. He takes the mark just inside the centre square. Again, a 15-metre kick just.
Oh, Chris kicked it into the man on the mark, though. McAdam got a hand to it. Noble's busted off it. Sloan picks it up. Hand pass to Keys, then Laird. Now in the centre circle. Schomburg weaves around a couple. Sends it high into the 50. Coming across. Madgen couldn't take it. Fell to ground. McHenry can pick it up. Hand pass out to Scholl, who's pushed as he kicked it. Straight up and down. Coming through. Fogarty nearly claimed it. Gathers it on the ground. Quaynor dives onto him. Messy footy in the scoreboard pocket. Sloan tries to fend away the tackler and his caught. Ball goes over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in. Inside Adelaide's attacking 50, down by 5.
That's almost holding the ball. Great tackle, John Noble. The interesting thing for me, so it's Brodie Smith versus Jack Crisp at the moment. Both teams have got a number up around the stoppage, so it's who's going to have the better influence and use that extra number is going to be pivotal in this quarter.
It's not pretty to watch, you can say that. Hoskin Elliott clears the area for Collingwood. It's almost down to centre wing now, and across comes Brodie Smith, the aforementioned loose player for Adelaide, takes it across the boundary line between half-back and centre wing on the eastern side for Collingwood. And the Pies still lead, 5-8-38 for Adelaide and 7-1-43 for Collingwood.
Max Lynch into the ruck up against O'Brien, who just took it clean. Hand pass back to Seedsman, caught in the side bottom tackle. Got a hand pass away to Sloan. Kicks it up to right half forward. Quaino read it best, but went straight through his hands. Bouncing into the 50 now. McAdam can pick it up. Hand pass wide to Laird. Tight angle in the scoreboard pocket. Sets it up in the goal square. Fogarty rose up, couldn't juggle it, and rushed it through in the end for a minor score. The Crows now down by 4 points. Collingwood 7-1-43, Adelaide 5-9-39.
Geez, they're peppering Adelaide. 7 inside 50s to 2. I'm not sure how long Collingwood's going to get away with this.
Another 7 inside 50s. Adelaide will be in front by a couple of points.
Quino worked hard inside defensive 50, and then finally a kick to Poulter, who goes short. They're outside defensive 50, side bottom. Just heels against the boundary line at right half back. He goes very short. Poulter leads up, drops a chest mark. Adelaide turns it over. Inboard hand pass finds Keys. Keys drops his ball in short. Rowe takes the mark. He's wide out and just inside 50. He had Smith calling for it. Instead he goes inside 50. Comes off the hands. Collingwood will clear it through Pendlebury and then Crisp. And then Crisp's hand pass finds side bottom forward from Noble. He got it out to Murphy. Down the line he goes with a kick, and Adelaide will get a free kick for holding or a mark from McPherson. It'll be a free kick to Butts. There was holding there by Myercheck.
Butts, short kick inbound, finds Sloan now into the centre square. He'll go to Schomburg. Just short of the centre circle, runs around, plays on, but Elliott nearly got him. Oh, he read him best from centre half back.
Right kick.
Hand pass out to Seedsman, who spears it in towards Fogarty. All alone, 40 out from goal, straight in front.
Great vision too. So Adelaide were transitioning it out to the eastern part of the ground. Seedsman was on his own. Schoenberg under pressure, and he was going to go down the line, and that's where all the Collingwood defenders were going, just to cover the ground. Darcy Fogarty went right, and he just bullet-like pass and an easy mark in the end.
Been a strong year for Fogarty so far. 11-2, 3 goals last week. Looking for his second tonight. Starts outside the paint of 50. Kicks from 45, plenty on it, but too much to the right. Another minor score for Adelaide. That's 4 in a row for them. We saw 5 in a row in the second quarter. 3-point game now. Collingwood 7-1-43 to 5-10-40. 10-minute mark of the third. Awkward exit out of defensive 50 as well. Went through a couple of hands. The Pies are scrambling.
Side bottom in the end, just got a kick at the ball. Scrambled away that time by Poulter. Up to centre wing, Myercheck with a chest mark. Hand pass wide for Bianco. Bianco goes inside 50, carries too far for his target. Thomas was there for Collingwood, but Sloan beat him.
Got lucky, Rory Sloan.
Hand pass away to Hamill. His kick was faulty. Sets it up for Collingwood to come again. Bianco picks it up, looks inside once and then twice, and then finally with the left foot he just puts it inside 50 to go. He rises above the pack and takes a mark. It's about 45 metres out, mate, even less, 40 metres out, slightly to the right of centre.
It's a really difficult game to watch at the moment, isn't it?
I like Bianco. I like the way he moves. He has got a little bit of Scott Pendlebury about him, hasn't he? You know, second game player, good poise.
So De Goey already with 1 for the match. And now he's got 1 goal, 1. Out to the right with a kick. So the disease that has mainly been with the Crows has been caught by the Magpies.
It's contagious. It's contagious.
It's a bird flu, I think.
Don't say those words right now, Frosty. Not with Collingwood flying in and flying out. Not after the week that we've had. Cleared out a defensive 50 off a few hands. O'Connor's there for the Crows. Hands it to Keys. Shrugs away side bottom. Runs to the western side. A 1-2 with O'Brien. Now Keys just doesn't know where to go. Backing up against Murphy. Finally gets a kick away. Up to left half forward. A 2-on-2 and more read at best. Another intercept mark for the Pie.
That's the contest there where Riley Thilthorpe's got to be stronger. He just got pushed under the footy way too easy. Walker was out of it with rough head. Moore takes an easy mark.
Call to play on, goes down the line. O'Brien got a hand on it. McKay picked it up. Hand pass inboard to Sloan. His kick intercepted. Collingwood had a hand on it. It came to Bianco. His kick was poor. Turned over again.
Walker's
picked
out.
up by Jones for Adelaide. And then he got it out to, well, a chain of hand passes. Ends in the hands of Adelaide through McHenry. He goes long looking for Thilthorpe in the pocket. It was too far for Walker. Thilthorpe managed to keep it in. Walker picks it up, looks around, snaps it on left foot and kicks a goal. Well, Walker was clear inside 50. They didn't hit him. He actually stopped, but Thilthorpe was good enough to keep the ball in play. And Walker from the right forward pocket, the snap off the left foot, a goal. Adelaide in front for the first time in the game. No, not quite, but Adelaide 6-10-46. Collingwood 7-2-44 after 12 minutes of the third term.
About the touch of the answer. Great work, Riley Thilthorpe too.
Yeah.
You know, the ability to be able to just keep it in and keep it alive. And again, we've seen it in recent years where sides just they don't take possession. They just bring it in, tap it on and keep it alive and keep the defence under pressure. And that's clearly what he did. Taylor Walker, I think, was ready just to let it roll out, but used his body well.
Yeah, it was poor defensive by Collingwood. It was actually 5 Collingwood guys, 5 Collingwood defenders, and not one of them actually wanted to go and man up Taylor Walker.
Adelaide in front for the first time since the opening few minutes of this game. Bustled off it was Sloan, gathered by Dacos for Collingwood rather. Kick didn't favour Thomas. Off his hands it spilt towards Smith. Runs through the square, pushed as he kicked it. Off the half volley, McHenry can get it. Hand pass to Schonberg. Had a man out wide, but opts to go to the pocket. Over the head of Fogarty. Thilthorpe can't gather either. Scholl, who was that man running through, can pick it up. Caught in the tackle, got a hand pass to Thilthorpe. Now Schonberg centres his kick to Fogarty. Top of the goal square. Slight angle to the right. Darcy Fogarty should lap this up in front of goal.
Well, he made up for it, Harry. If I was playing back in the day, Jamo, he would have got an almighty spray, young Scholl. I mean, that's the difference. An extra handball, Scholl runs in. He's probably the highest skilled player in the Crows list. He would have knocked that over. But instead, they've got to make things really hard for themselves.
Fogarty comes in. He'll kick from 15 and slots it. All of a sudden, Adelaide out to a 7-point lead after trailing by 23 at quarter time. The Crows finding some form at home. Darcy Fogarty has 2. Adelaide 7-10-52. Collingwood 7-2-44. 15 minutes gone in the third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamison.
Well, here's a chance for Adelaide to actually change the narrative of where they've been this year. And I think Mr. Squiggle highlighted the fact Adelaide have not won a third quarter. Now, they've only kicked 2, and we're only halfway through this, but here's an opportunity to the point that Campo touches on as well. You look at Richmond, you look at Geelong, you look at the top-end teams, Melbourne, they just give it. They keep it alive. They give it to someone in a better position every time. Just make it easy for each other.
Josh Thomas won't want to look at that one on the replay, I wouldn't have thought.
2-4 to 2 points in this quarter. Adelaide in front. Out of the middle, Laird just had to release the hand pass in a tackle. Seedsman picked it up, lost it straight away. Ball on the ground. Thomas did well, ferried it out for Collingwood. Then hand pass came out that time from Dacos. Tackle made by Adelaide. At the back end of the square for Adelaide, will get a ball up.
Callum Brown at the bottom of it, the medical sub, who's now been subbed on for Collingwood with Braden Sire out of the game with a jaw injury. Off the reset, Dacos flicked a hand pass out to no one in particular. Hoskin Elliott can gather under pressure, spins around and sends it high into the 50. The Crows have numbers. Smith coming across, takes the intercept mark. Flat kick was ugly though, went straight to Hoskin Elliott, who lowers the eyes and finds Bianco. 45 from goal, slightly left of centre.
Skip an eye on DeGoey and Jay Kelly, they were going at it too. They both ended up on the ground in amongst all that contest. Mycheck's holding his stomach, he's obviously caught one, and breathing hard from Jordan Butts.
Trent Bianco, who had a great debut last week, 19 touches. Now his second game tonight. Starts just in front of the square. Has to put a lot on it from 47. Loads up, heads towards home. Trent Bianco has his first goal in AFL footy. And the Collingwood Football Club needed that desperately. Back down to a 1-point game. Adelaide up 7-10-52. It's a 2-point game rather to Collingwood's 8-2-50. 17-minute mark of the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he'd be really disappointed, Brodie Smith. As we said, he's probably one of the best disposers of the ball, kicking. But I'm not sure what he was going for there. But great composure by Will Hoskin-Elliott, just to lower his eyes, because that's what can happen. Get a rush of blood, jam it back in there again where there's extra numbers, but lowered his eyes, and great finish. Anytime a new young Italian player comes into the competition, I'm on board, Jamo.
He looks sharp, and I'm not surprised.
Started his career last week against Geelong with 19 possessions, 3 marks, 3 tackles. Was very impressive, taking a pick 45 in the 2019 draft.
His first goal, Crossy in AFL footy.
That was a good and timely one for Collingwood. Ball in the middle. Notice they've thrown Pendlebury in there. It's cleared away forward by Collingwood, but Adelaide will come through Seedsman. Seedsman with a forward hand pass finds Schonberg. Schonberg goes out with his kick. Fogarty coming into the game, shares the hand pass, having taken the mark. Scholl with a bounce towards 50. Inside 50 goes Chips Walker in position A. Couldn't take it. Rough head off hands, and then Crisp. And then Quinor. Quinor went wide with his hand pass to Crisp. Then to Maynard. Maynard forward hand pass outside 50. They are now. Noble running, and so's Maynard.
Kicks up the eastern side to a one-on-one. Murphy nudges Duday, but didn't get him enough. Squirreled out of play to be tossed back in on the eastern side.
I think it was Brad Maynard then. He had 3 touches. He was the one that actually left his opponent, came up, got the fist where the footy was going to Taylor Walker, and then just followed it up and got it out.
Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Campo mentioned before Brodie Myercheck was on his haunches behind the play. He's now off the ground. The club medico's looking at his right hand.
Riley O'Brien took it out of the ruck contest on the eastern side. Laird couldn't dispose of it cleanly. Collingwood players swarming will get a ball up. So Collingwood already without Braden Sire, who's been subbed out with a jaw injury.
Looked like a finger, Jack.
Now concerns for Brodie Myercheck. O'Brien gets the tap down looking for Keys.
Wait for it.
Threw it on the boot. Scott Camporelli has been the answer tonight for sure. Heavily contested on the eastern side. Eventually Pendlebury rips it out. Hand pass into the square to Noble. Collingwood now inside 50. A 2-on-1 awaits against Tagoe. Couldn't get a flight at it. Smith got a hand onto it. Spills towards McPherson. Short kick. Hits McKay in the left back pocket. He'll play on very quickly. Across the goal face he goes and finds Seedsman at right half back.
Seedsman's long kick looking for McHenry. Finds him on centre wing. Adelaide have some run and overlap. Does he have somebody down the line? Yes, he does. He changes the angle slightly to O'Brien. O'Brien marks it, stabs it towards Walker. On the bounce, Walker, hand pass wide. He goes for Scholl. Quinor comes at him and got him. And the umpire called play on. McHenry comes in, gets around Roughhead. Hand passes no. He was already out by the time he handballed it on. And I did wonder about that Quinor tackle. It was a very good one on Scholl. Surely he didn't dispose of the ball correctly, but the umpire called play on. Throw in.
Stiff.
Walker in front position. Taps it down against Max Lynch, the second gamer. Laird under pressure. Got a hand pass back to Seedsman, who loads up. We know he can do this. He's done it so many times before. Paul Seedsman with an absolute bomb from 55 for his second of the evening. The Crows back out to an 8-point lead. 8-10-58 to 8-2-50 on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Just one step from about 53 metres out. He just hits them sweet.
That's a great finish. As I said, there's not too many players in the competition can do that, let alone just on the ground tonight. He's done it twice. I mean, that's outstanding. And he is. He's a beautiful kick of the ball seeds. As we said, playing a bit more wing tonight. They've gone for a different look, gone a bit more contested inside without having that balance of the extra runner. But he's outstanding once again. And metres gained for the game, he'd be right up there as well. 183 for the quarter so far.
The answer, Scott Camporelli, was correct. Jack Paqueta letting me know it is a finger injury for Brodie Myercheck.
He's got 3 out of 3.
I'll get a pay rise, Aaron. Where do I go?
Next week, please?
Turn your microphone off and get out of the box now.
So back in the middle, ball high from Collingwood. And then it comes down to Dacos. Does a 1-2 and gets it back and goes down looking for Elliott, who took the mark away from O'Connor for Adelaide. So it's at right half forward, but wide out for Collingwood. Coaches talk about small wins. Stand by Adelaide. They look like winning a third quarter for the first time this year.
Well, they deserve to be in front. 13 inside 50s to 7.
Elliott's kick forward marked by O'Brien. Adelaide looked to switch through Smith. He goes back to the goal square to Kelly, and the switch is has been effectively thwarted. They'll have to slow down.
It was going to be slow because he got stuck. He's predominantly left foot, and he was looking right as he handballs back the other way. Adelaide come to the west side.
The Crows chipping around, making a meal of it at the moment. Chase Jones has 2 fumbles, 30 from goal. Eventually gets it back to Seedsman, spins away from side bottom, finally clears it to left half back, through the hands of Duday. Walker juggling at the back, didn't take it either. Somehow got boot to ball under immense pressure. A one-handed drop down the line. There's a free kick for a throw. It hit Schomburg, who tossed it out up against Isaac Plainor. Free kick to Collingwood in front of the benches. They're down by 8.
Taylor Walker, he was sitting on the ground and kicked a drop kick.
Quaynor, down the line he goes with his kick. Lead up by Meyer. No, it can't be Myercheck. It is Myercheck.
Fingers strapped, but he's on.
He's back on the ground, so he's taking it on his chest. Perhaps not as much problem with the finger then.
Severely outnumbered Collingwood. All their numbers are behind the ball here. It's probably 3 or 4 Adelaide players. Tom Duday the spare.
O'Brien, the ruckman, though, is the one who takes the mark. In the left back pocket, closing in on three-quarter time. It's Adelaide by 8 points. And they've had 8 more scoring shots than Collingwood.
O'Brien sends it back where it came from. Walker in front position, couldn't take it. Spills to ground. Led a defensive hand pass to Kelly. Did he get boot to ball? He didn't. He was out of the field of play. Boundary throw-in to come on the paint of 50. So
I'd just like to see Collingwood even the game up here for a bit. They're not, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get Chris free, but it's Duday. It's Brodie Smith. They need to even up the game. Even when they kick it inside forward 50, even up the contest to make it, or try and lock it in their front half. They're not going to score Collingwood with 3 or 4 defenders free.
Lynch won the tap down. Brown to Thomas, who centres his kick to Poulter. 45 from goal.
Go back.
Straight in front.
He's a beautiful kick.
He's looking to pass it off. There he is. He's a great left footer. He's composed and he's got the distance in him. And just having a look, Lynch has had 8 disposals, 1 mark. You look up forward, 4 disposals, Myercheck with 4 marks, and Cameron 3 disposals and no marks.
In comes Poulter. 1-2 for the year. A massive kick from 55 on the line. There's plenty of players. They thought they got hands to it, but it's carried over and the goal umpire has no doubt about it. Caleb Poulter gets his first of the evening. Collingwood strike back once again, a 2-point game. Adelaide 8-10-58 to 9-2-56. So Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, has this quarter been more of Adelaide getting better from the first half, or is Collingwood just playing really poorly considering how hot they were at the start?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think Adelaide have changed the way they play. They're sort of winning, definitely winning around the contest. Collingwood have been able to wrestle back a clearance deficiency that they had in the first half. As I said, I just don't think that Collingwood, they need to even the game up. Make it a bit more one-on-one. It's, as I said, it's Chris versus Smith off the back half. At the moment, I think Smith's having more of an impact than what Crisp is at the moment. Adelaide 13 inside 50s for 3 goals 4.
Just what I don't like is the kick-to-handball ratio. 49 kicks, 47 handballs. Adelaide, 41 kicks. Collingwood, 27 handballs. So Collingwood are covering the distance.
Get a secondary ball up after Roy Sloane was nullified then by Brown for Collingwood. So ball in the hands of Keys. He's tried to release it near Sloane. Side bottom came through. Gave it to Dacos for Collingwood. Inside forward 50 they go again. Myercheck back on it. He doesn't quite get there. Butts comes through for Adelaide. Got the hands free. Hand pass back to Duday. Fumble near the top of the goal square. Adelaide taking it back. McPherson gave it off to Jones. And then forward he went to McKay, who fumbled it near the boundary line. Quaynor picks it up. Was it already out? No, said the umpire. 25 from goal contest. Dacos at the front. Goal! Oh, hot pies! They're back in front. Collingwood 9-2-56. Sorry, correct that again. 10-2-62. I was too quick for the system. 10-2-62. Adelaide 8-10-58. 4-point lead for Collingwood, closing in on three-quarter time.
Well, it was just better pressure, wasn't it, by Collingwood? Just put Adelaide under severe pressure. Fumble. And then it ended up just popping out, and well done by Quaynor. Hit it to right where the spot is, and great finish. I mean, the Dacos name synonymous with front and square. Beautiful finish and really important goal. 2.5 minutes to go. and now only 6 points in the game.
Quaynor keeps it in, which is a great, but 3 Adelaide players go up against 2 Collingwood, and then 3 small forwards just at the front of the pack. Adelaide were always in trouble on that occasion.
So Collingwood now by 4. Multiple lead changes in this third quarter. In the middle, both ruckmen missed it. O'Brien takes it off the bounce, dropped it, but missed his boot. No free kick. O'Connor hands it to Keys. Pushed as he kicked it. Skies towards centre-half forward.
Oh.
Walker flew and ended up almost tunnelling Crisp. He kicked his legs out and spun him in the air. Landed very heavily and gets the free kick anyway. Jack Crisp pops back up. No dramas there. Short kick to Maynard.
He's a good player, isn't he?
Back edge of the square. Maynard looks for Pendlebury. Sloan came across, the 2 skippers colliding. Spilt towards Butts, who turned it straight over. Hit the chest of Poulter. Into the 50 for Collingwood. Barreled over was Elliott. Ball ricochets 30 from goal. Diving onto it. Duday's wrapped up. That's got to be ball. Umpire will wait, but there's no doubt about it. Free kick to Collingwood. They can boo all they want at the Adelaide Oval, but Tom Duday slid in and held it in. Josh Thomas is the man who got him. Free kick to go to Collingwood. 30 from goal straight in front.
Well, this would be disappointing. This is that sort of 5 or 6 minute, again, Jamo, that the Crows have had issues with for majority of the seasons. They just have these patches that, you know, there's runs of 3 or 4 goals. This will be Collingwood, I believe, third, Crossy, would it be, in 3 or 4 minutes? 4. Here we go, yeah, same scenario. So this will really hurt Adelaide if they knock this over.
Josh Thomas missed last week with an ankle injury. Has won so far, comes in and kicks from 35, misses to the left. Minor score for the Pies, now up by 5 points. So they have kicked 3 of the last 4 goals, and they've all been within a matter of about 8 minutes' time. But Collingwood with the lead heading towards three-quarter time.
1 minute 20 to go in this quarter. 3-goal 4 to 3-goal 3. Can Adelaide sneak over? Jordan Butts on 2 occasions tonight is actually his foot disposal has been really poor and intercepted. Now, forgive me too, he's only into his 14th game, but when you're deep in defence, you cannot turn it over on short kicks.
So Adelaide have got a stoppage at half-back after the kick-in. They can't get it clear. Collingwood swarming, but they force another ball up just between the arc of 50 and the centre square. So the umpire just quick to move in there and throw it in the air. O'Brien's kick out of the ruck contest was smothered. Came out to Poulter for Collingwood, and then inboard they go to Brown, and then Maynard chips it short to go. He's got it right on 50, turns around quickly and wide. He finds Sidebottom, and knowing the time, Sidebottom says just hold things up, I'll have a shot. He's out there on the eastern side of the ground, about 10-15 metres in from the boundary and about 45 back from the goals.
They got caught ball watching, Adelaide. Seal Sidebottom, one of the greats of the game, really. He's been unbelievable over his career. Just spat forward, and as soon as the ball turned over, he was in a world of space.
Sidebottom, such a highly skilled player. To put Collingwood 11 points clear, he's got it through. Looked like it might go across the goal face, but in the end, still Sidebottom has kicked the goal that has put Collingwood out by 11 points. Collingwood 11-3-69. Adelaide 8-10-58. 30 and a half minutes in to the third term.
Well, he was in that stoppage. He was up against O'Connor. O'Connor pressed out to try and impact the ball, but he didn't really need to. There was enough Adelaide players around that, and then he just found himself in space. Well done, Jordan De Goey, just to lower his eyes. He could have blazed away. He had 2 options. He actually had Thomas as well inside 50 with no one on him. So that really hurt Adelaide. You know, 10 seconds to go in this quarter. That just really hurts.
254th game still Sidebottom. He is class on both sides of the body. And Mr. Squiggle would expect a text.
We've got a fair few to run through at three-quarter time, Jamo.
Because they're going to take it out and lose another quarter.
A lot of those directed your way as well, Jamo. In the middle, Lynch got the tap down. Laird got a kick away under pressure, and that'll do us for 3 quarters of football. So the Crows hitting the front in the third quarter. We've had 3 lead changes so far tonight, but Collingwood finding a late answer. Now up by 11 points heading into the final quarter. 11-3-69 plays 8-10-58 at three-quarter time. It's an important game for both clubs. Adelaide would hope they can remain in the hunt for the top 8 with a win this evening now. Collingwood, meanwhile, so much turmoil inside and outside of the club. they'd be desperate for a road win to try and ease some of the pressure on them. Up by 11 points, the goal scorers heading into the final term. Jamie Elliott has a handful, 5 goals to his name. Singles to DeGoey, Dacos, Bianco, Sidebottom, Thomas and Poulter. Meanwhile for the Crows, 2 to Seedsman, Walker and Fogarty. Singles to Thilthorpe, Mick Henry as well for Adelaide. So 11-3-69 plays 8-10-58. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points to continue round 12, and a Friday night game saw Melbourne defeat Brisbane by 22 points. Coming up shortly as well, arguably the biggest game of this round, Dreamtime in the West. You'll be headed to Perth Stadium with Clint Wilden, Ben Cameron, Sharad Wellingham and also David Mundy. A massive contest. So excited to get there and see what the spectacle it will be like at Perth Stadium. So stay tuned following this contest for that. But for now, on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital, this is Grandstand AFL.
Open your ears to the world with the ABC Listen app. Australia's best scientists and comedians join forces in the pop test.
Sorry, we're being told that our science show is getting too nerdy, so...
Join Triple J's Hobber and Hing as they challenge Aussies to deliver their most elaborate yarn in Simply the Jest, or tackle all the mayhem in the sporting world with Roy and HG in Bludging on the Blind Side.
How do you go with the maths there?
Oh, I'm not going to question the maths.
No,
I'm going to accept it.
Download the ABC Listen app today.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season
Sir Doug Nicholls round
on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Chain of hand passes ends in the hands of Adelaide through McHenry. He goes long looking for Thilthorpe in the pocket. It was too far for Walker. Thilthorpe managed to keep it in. Walker picks it up, looks around, snaps it on their foot and kicks the goal.
Walker in front position, taps it down against Max Lynch, the second gamer. Laird under pressure, got a hand pass back to Seedsman, who loads up. We know he can do this. He's done it so many times before. Paul Seedsman with an absolute bomb from 55 for his second of the evening. Lynch won the tap down. Brown to Thomas, who centres his kick to Poulter. In comes Poulter. 1-2 for the year. A massive kick from 55 on the line. There's plenty of players. They thought they got hands to it, but it's carried over and the goal umpire has no doubt about it.
Jones, and then forward he went to McKay, who fumbled it near the boundary line. Quaynor picks it up. Was it already out? No, said the umpire. 25 from goal contest. Dacos at the front. Goal! Oh, hot pies!
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Sir Doug Nicholls round
on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
A cracker of a finish coming up on Grandstand AFL. 3 lead changes so far, and a couple of them in that third quarter. Collingwood in front by 11 points after the Crows hit the front midway through. And now we'll wait and see what this final quarter has to offer. 11-3-69 to 8-10-58. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Scott Camporelli. Plenty of comments from the text line as well. Macca and Salmon Gum says, loving the call, huge Pies fan. Come on, Maggies, bring it home. Scott Cummings, whether or not it's the real one or not, has a text in for Rod Jamieson saying, you owe me a beer for belting me in the showdown. Always good to have a bit of character on the text line there.
I'll get it back from all your Port Adelaide mates. They all give me beer for belting you.
Thug you were.
Bill says, may as well give the opposition 2 extra players. The Crows at times are severely incompetent. So many texts to run through. We'll get through a couple of more of those very shortly, but such a big game coming up following this one at Perth Stadium. It's Dreamtime in the West. The biggest game in Indigenous round heads its way to WA. And to preview it for us now, Clint Wilden can join us. Clint.
Thank you, Aaron. Yes, the ground does look magnificent. Perth Stadium, it will be sold out. Tickets, well, 50,000 of them sold in just 17 hours, and those that were remaining were stacked up the day later in just 4 minutes. A crowd of 6,000 making their way from the WACA ground across the Madagarrett Bridge to meet outside the Nicky Winmar statue that's on the city side of Perth Stadium. That's currently taking place, and so much to look forward to. It is a game that is so much bigger than the game itself, the Dreamtime game, for the third time, or a third different venue after it was in Darwin last year and then the previous 15 times at the MCG. Big game too for both of these clubs. We know the Tigers, well, they've been win-loss since round 5. Can they get back-to-back wins? While Essendon, they were mightily impressive last week against the West Coast Eagles. Perhaps the start of something for Ben Rutten and his side. What will unveil itself in front of us here One of the truly magic marquee games of any season. Can't wait to bring it to you alongside Ben Cameron. We'll be joined in commentary by Sharad Wellingham and 300 gamer with the Fremantle Dockers, David Mundy, on debut on Grandstand AFL. That's all to come from the West. Aaron?
Thanks, Clint. Looking forward to it. A massive game coming up to continue round 12. Also on the text line, Rico says, I'm neither a Crows or Pies supporter, but loving the call. Good to hear some new players coming through. And also Yaz and Mr. Squiggles got back in touch with us as well to both let us know that once again, Adelaide did not win a third quarter. They've lost that to Collingwood, down by 11 heading into the final term. Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli, what are you expecting?
Yeah, well, once again, Collingwood just wrestled back momentum that last 3 or 4 minutes. They kicked the last 3 to head into the break in front. But, it's going to be interesting. Really around who can actually win off turnover would be the thing for me. Who's going to win that quarter, because that's where both teams have scored mostly tonight.
Collingwood's pressure is good tonight. 61 to 39 tackles plus 22 going into this last quarter.
O'Brien's tap down was cut off by Pendlebury. Just threw it on the boot towards right half forward. Cut off by McKay. Hand pass for the Crows defensively to Smith. An awkward kick up to centre wing. Favoured John Noble, who slid in and couldn't take it. McHenry mops it up for the Crows. Hand pass to Laird. Then Schomburg runs to left half forward. Sideboard runs him down, but he got the kick away at the last minute. Finds James Rowe, 45 from goal. Thought about playing on. Decides against it. Will go back and take his set shot. The Crows looking to strike first in the final quarter.
Be right on his limit, I would have thought.
It will be too, but he needs it. He's been pretty quiet the last 3 weeks. Really important for Adelaide to get off to a good start and finish strong at the end, where most of the goals have been kicked.
Pretty decent year for James Rowe so far. He's only gone goalless in 3 of the 10 games he's played and needs to convert this to avoid making it 4. Has a little trot and then loads up from the arc. Plenty of power in the kick. It sits up in the goal square off a few hands, bounces out towards the right forward pocket. Poulter will carry it over for a boundary throw-in. So 1 minute gone in the final quarter. Collingwood still lead by 11 over Adelaide. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9.
And if it was Scott Cummings, I am happy to buy him a beer when I catch up with him next. I love beer.
So you said several times, gentlemen. Out of the ruck contest, Walker gave it to Rowe by hand, then back to Keys. He tries to get on the left foot, eventually does, round the corner. It's going close. It's curling through for the minor score. Umpire wants a check on this, the goal umpire that is. Not sure if Moore took the mark before it crossed the line or he fumbled. So we'll wait on this. Could be crucial in what might be a very close game. 11 points the margin right now. What does the score review tell us, boys?
Yeah, it's a point. Marked over the line.
Yep. Well and truly, maybe half a metre over the line.
Looking at this angle, we can see.
Why don't they just come up to Campo?
That is the answer from Scott Camporelli.
It's not that hard. It's up on the screen.
Technology takes forever to tell us what Campo's already decided, and it is a minor score. So a point for Keys, a point for Adelaide, and a 10-point margin now for Collingwood.
So Darcy Moore in the defensive goal square now. Just taking his time, deciding where to go. Plays on, runs to the right back pocket, and then goes long to the eastern wing. A one-on-one awaits. Murphy had to spoil it down in front. Hoskin Elliott soccers it off the turf as it hits the ground. Rolls its way towards right half forward. Won't reach there as it carries over the boundary line on the eastern side. To be tossed back in. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson for the final quarter here at the Adelaide Oval. Collingwood up by 11.
Both teams persisting with an extra one up around the stoppage, so it's Crisp versus Smith again.
Schonberg running through that stoppage as the ball come to the front. He didn't take it with him. Side bottom got it away. Outside of the boot down to half forward. Well done by Collingwood. They get it forward. It came to side bottom from Dacos, and then a forward hand pass found to go. He wide out. He hooks it back. 25 from goal. Contest there. Comes off. Hands fumbled by Butts. But he follows up with a tackle, and the umpire circling says, no, we'll ball it up.
Well, they wanted to hold the ball, the Crow supporters, a bit like down the other end of the ground. Didn't quite pull it back in. He got tackled.
So we await the ruckman to come in. Finally, O'Brien and Max Lynch do that. Max Lynch pushes O'Brien out of it. Tried to have a shot on goal, but the free kick had already been called. So Adelaide receive it. Short pass wasn't 15 to Kelly in the right back pocket. Still managed to get it to Smith. Clears his kick up towards the western side to a contest. Coming across, Moore did well to knock it away from the pack over the boundary line to be tossed back in. Just an injury update as well for those just joining us. Braden Sire was subbed out of the game in the third quarter with a jaw injury. So coming in is Callum Brown for them.
Ball back into play. And offhands taken by Schonberg, sprinting through. He gave it to Seedsman. Hand pass over the top, found Keys. Quickly mid-air, he gave it back to Seedsman. He carries it inside 50 with the kick. Over the back was Thilthorpe. Outside of the right boot, rolling. Minus score just to the left side of the post. Adelaide with 2 behinds to start the final quarter. And Collingwood by 9 points as we cross over 4.5 minutes.
Gee, I thought he just got tugged then. I thought Madgen just held on to him there for a bit. I thought he was unlucky not to get a free kick.
So Moore out of the defensive goal square. Heads to right half back. Taken by Hoskin Elliott. Pops it short. Elliott's all alone. No one's on him. Over the top, dangerous kick. Could have worked for Crisp. He did have time to take it. Spills it. Chase Jones applies some pressure and then slips over. Crisp just made him look absolutely silly there. In and out with the duck and weave. Kicks down the line. Myercheck gathers off the bounce. Caught in the tackle. Threw it away. Free kick to the Crows at left half back. Jordan Butts the recipient.
Jake Kelly allowed, was it Jamie Elliott to run down, hence why he was on his own, had so much space.
Butts takes his time, finally called a play on, heads towards centre wing. Crisp at the front of the pack, brings it down, gets his own ball, hand passes back to Quaynor. Then he goes across by hand to Noble. Noble diagonally back into the centre of play. And he finds the very impressive Poulter. He hands it off. And then they go down to half forward through Bianco. Great non-preferred left foot stab pass. Finds De Goey on the lead, 50 from goal.
Who was that?
Bianco. Love him. I know it's Indigenous round, but love the Italian boys.
So Jordan De Goey backs up. He's just on the point of the centre point of the centre square. Real crossover now as he comes in. He's going to have to drive this one every bit of 55 metres. He gets a good piece of it arcing around. It'll be touched on the line. In fact, Butts brings it back into play with the knockaway. And Adelaide fighting hard through Sloan, who releases it to Duday off the left foot. Just tries to clear the 50. He's put it out on the full.
It's a free kick to Collingwood, and the umpire's deeming it bang on the paint of 50 on that eastern side, so probably won't have the distance. Set up inside the Pies, attacking 50 from behind. Tap down from Duday. Side bottom was front and square. Shrugged a couple. Hand pass to Myercheck. Didn't hit him. He caught row high. Sliding in. Free kick to the Crows inside defensive 50.
Struggled tonight, hasn't he, Myercheck? Hasn't made an impact at all. Hasn't really been good defensively. Sloppy tackle.
Rowe had a couple of numbers out there on the eastern side. Eventually he plays on and decides to go long. McKay, unlikely target. Offhands it came to Laird. Laird just tumbles the ball towards half forward for Adelaide. Schonberg was there. Picked it up, lost it, tumbled over. Noble picks it up for Collingwood the other way. Into the centre he goes. It's punched away by O'Brien for Adelaide. Down to half forward. Schonberg picks it up. Releases a hand pass wide for Seedsman. On his right foot, he goes down to half forward. It's in front of Fogarty. Fogarty trying to turn his man with no success. He just can't lose him. So he goes by the left foot back inside to Seedsman. Bang, 40-metre pass off the right foot into the right forward pocket. And McAdam leads out and takes it. Hard against the boundary line.
Yeah, he's thought his way through that well, Fog. You know, could have been easily just turned around and blazed away. Found Seedsman in the corridor and then once again off a couple of steps finds an inside 50. Guys who can hit targets inside 50 are worth their weight in gold.
Guys who can kick goals from the boundary line are worth their weight too. It's a banana from McAdam and it's a goal. Great finish, crowd lifter. The Crows narrow the margin to 3 points. Adelaide 9-12-66 trail Collingwood 11-3-69 on Grandstand AFL. Your experts are Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, you called it, Crossy. 10 disposals, 4 marks. He has struggled to do the things easy tonight or bring other players into it, but It's his first goal for the evening. He's had a quiet few weeks, but gee, the Indigenous boys, they're mercurial when they need to, don't they? Just tight on the boundary, and you called it too.
Well, it's a great kick. He's kicking at 43% for the night. He's had 7 kicks, so he hasn't had the best night by foot, but there you go. Don't make a bad night a poor night, and you can still have an influence on the game.
Well, that's right.
What a finish coming up. 3-point game. Collingwood still up. They struck early, had a 23-point lead at quarter time. Adelaide fought back. And since then, it's been back and forth. O'Brien wins the tap down in the middle, was looking for O'Connor. Passed the ball. Pendlebury gathered it. Hand pass out wide. Wrapped up by a couple. Collingwood giving away the free kick, holding the ball. The bottom of it, Thomas gave it away. Keys sends it long into the 50 for Adelaide. Walker in front. Fogarty at the back. Spills to a couple. Pendlebury slid in, got a hand pass away. Free kick for a hold coming back, though. Imagine will receive it inside defensive 50 for Collingwood.
Drops it in short to Crisp. And then he goes to Poulter just outside defensive 50. Down the line, his kick. Finds Bianco. This is now at left half back for Collingwood on this broadcast side.
Great poise.
Bianco inside.
Give it to him.
In case you're wondering, the Italian Bianco. That's why Scott Camporelli is so excited. So he gave it inboard to Brown, and then Brown goes eventually back deep inside defensive 50 to Madgen. They go out the eastern side now.
And hits up Hoskin Elliott at right half back. A few texters asking Campo why we say Camporelli instead of Campriali. Could you let us know about that shortly, as there's a turnover in the centre square. Noble did well, though, to mop it up. Hand pass to Crisp, who settles. Heads out to the western side to Maynard. Runs through centre wing. Pops it up to left half forward. Myercheck marks against Butts. Butts stands about 55 from goal. Myercheck has a fumble. Fans wanted to call it play on. Eventually he takes it anyway. Hand pass to Maynard. Curls it to the top of the goal square. O'Brien gets a clean run at it. Decides to tap it through for the minor score in that goal square. Back to a 4-point margin. Collingwood 11-4-70 to 9-12-66.
You want me to answer that question? Well, I'm just trying to help out everyone instead of trying to roll their tongue for the whole time.
What pronunciation is it, though?
Campriale.
Whoa.
Adelaide bring the ball down this broadcast side of the ground. Sloan with a nice mark.
That was pretty
good. And
then
McAdams, such a hard name to pronounce for us Australians. No, McAdams, the Indigenous boy, taking the mark between centre wing and half forward for Adelaide. Pops it up inside 50. Walker the target. And it's punched away by the Collingwood defenders towards the boundary line and over. About 70 around from the goal face. Right half forward, broadcast side for Adelaide.
Neil Cross.
Get some sense back into this game yet. Collingwood by 4 points on grandstand AFL. Scott Camporeale and Rod Jamieson, your experts.
12-minute mark of the last quarter, off a couple of hands. Diving in, Poulter couldn't get a clean possession away. Keys dives in and actually holds it into Poulter. Ball up to come. Crowd getting a bit animated. They were very quiet in the opening half. It was fairly ugly football, but game on now at the Adelaide Oval. On the reset, O'Brien wins the tap down for the Crows. Coming through, Laird is gang tackled by a couple. He's not going anywhere. Ball up to come once again.
So the ball thrown up again. O'Brien does well in the ruck. Adelaide just scramble it forward. McHenry, the hand pass over the top. Laird thumped into the ground. Umpire set in the back. So Adelaide will go inside 50, you'd think, through Laird. He backs up now some 65 from goal. Just waiting. Walker gives him a lead of sorts, and Walker eventually gets it. He was on the lead for about 25 metres, and by the time Laird got it to him, he was outside 50. So he arcs out to the right from the boundary line and hacks it long. It's narrow. Way narrow, just inside the behind post for the minor score. So Crows sneak back to 3 points behind Collingwood, who are just hanging on at the moment, you think.
Maynard out of the defensive goal square, just heads to the left back pocket to Roughhead. Marks up against Walker. Roughhead heads back to Maynard. Called to play on, it wasn't 15. Fogarty comes to apply some pressure. Spills to Thilthorpe. Hand pass to Schonberg. Got a kick to it. Went straight up and down. Now in the right forward pocket. Walker is chasing, but Crisp has front position. Does enough to tap it to Pendlebury. Back to Brown. Forward to Crisp. And they clear it out of the defensive 50 towards the western wing. A pack awaits. doesn't matter for O'Brien, who stands tall in the middle. Intercept mark for the Crows in front of the benches. Wants to play on, hands it out wide to Smith. Senders his kick with a flat one into the 50. Quaynor nearly brought it in with one hand. Spilled out towards Maynard. Then Pendlebury and De Goey for the Pies. Gets it to the centre square to Thomas. They're moving incredibly fast. Hand pass out wide to Sidebottom. Now to the eastern side to Hoskin Elliott. Plenty of space to run into. Pops it over the top to Rantle. He's 45 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. The Pies had so many numbers forward. It was easy to surge there. A chance to settle down and get back some momentum, Collingwood.
It's going to be a weird comment, but I'd love to see Collingwood try and win the game instead of just trying to hold on there. I mean, that's what everyone's been critical about. That ball movement there was a bit more aggressive. I like that.
The third gamer comes in, kicks from 48 across the goal face to a pack. Could have been marked from O'Brien. Must have been off a few hands as it fell to him. Ricochets over the boundary line. Will be tossed back in the left forward pocket for the Pies. Currently up by 3 points. 14 and a half gone in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL. Coming up next, Dreamtime in the West.
Collingwood's lost 3 in a row, 8 of their past 9. Wins hard to come by for the Pies this season. Out of the ruck contest, Brodie Smith off hands. He just clears the area as best he can. It goes over the back. Chance for McAdam. Maynard knocked it away from him brilliantly to Moore for Collingwood. Moore goes to the top of the 50 to go. He slides in, takes the mark. Inside 50 quickly with the kick. And coming across with the intercept. Brilliantly done by Brodie Smith. Releases his kick to Laird. Laird goes out to centre wing. A counter-attack coming from Adelaide through Scholl. He decides to hold it up. Didn't like his options down the ground, perhaps sensible.
Fans wanted him to go. In the end, he just chips it short to Rory Laird, who's just behind centre wing on the eastern side.
Round 3, Brisbane lost by a point. Round 10, Port lost by a point. Round 11, Geelong lost by 10 points.
Laird goes long to left half forward off a few hands. Spills towards Maynard. Sends it back where it came from in the centre wing. Good rise from Myercheck. Takes a contested mark up against McPherson. Centres his kick to Thomas. Closer to the centre square. Completes the switch out wide. They're on now, Collingwood. Bianco takes the mark. Pops it over the top to Dacos. Oh, tunnelled it as he took the mark. Flat back, hit the turf. Lucky not to be winded there, Josh Dacos. He's at centre half forward. Duday's the man on the mark. Dacos now has to look to a flooded 50. Everyone's got back. They had a bit of momentum there, Collingwood, but...
Well, they need to go in and even the game up. There's 4 Adelaide Crows players there.
Dacos in, set it up towards Lynch, couldn't take it. Rantle's over the ball, McPherson with the tackle, spills out towards Brown. He's caught in a tackle, got a hand pass but turned it over. Seedsman out towards O'Connor, then clearing from Smith towards left half back. It's outside of the boot, over the boundary line, out on the full. Free kick to Collingwood at right half forward, currently up by 3. We've got 7.5 left in this final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Collingwood short to Sidebottom. So Sidebottom marks it just inside the 50, about 45 from goal.
Sloppy defence, Adelaide.
So Sidebottom would be on his distance here, you'd think, as he goes back well outside 50 to contemplate what he has to do.
Look for a little short here to Pendlebury. Just a little point. McAdams picked it up.
Just got into the space in front of Pendlebury, who was nonchalantly walking around, hands on hips. No, I'm not going to lead. Sidebottom on 50 when he kicks the ball. Good distance right to the line and beyond. Wait on it. We'll have a review. Pretty sure that's what the goal umpire's looking at.
Post.
Campo, go to Campo.
Hit the post.
Okay, well, we'll wait on all the replays, but Scott Camporelli's declared a poster, and he's right. There it is.
I think they either get rid of that, the bunker, or whatever it is called. You go for half of it and say you'll do it for less.
Well, I always fancied the idea of having 2 goal umpires at either end, because the goal umpire there was across making sure where the ball was in relation to the line and whether it was over, and therefore he couldn't be lined up with the post to see it if it had hit. So after all that, a minute or so wasted in this game. It's a behind. Collingwood push it out to a 4-point lead, and we've travelled through 18.5 minutes of the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
So the Crows unsure what to do here. Finally they'll play on and head long towards the western side. Contest awaits there. Beats the pack at the fall of the ball. Quaynor slipped over. Chris though read at best. His hand pass smothered by Sloan. The Crows surging now. McKay gets it to Kelly into the 50. It's a 2-on-1 favouring them. Philthorpe takes the mark, pops it over the top. McAdam can run into an open goal. Shane McAdam gives the Crows back the lead. His second of the evening could be the most important in this game. Shane McAdam puts Adelaide up by 2. 10-13-73 to 11-5-71. Approaching time on in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, I was just about to say, Jack Crisp, he's been Collingwood's best player, no doubt, along with Jamie Elliott. But Rory Sloane, the captain, put the tackle on, got a hand in, and the ball flipped up, turned the ball over, and Collingwood were out of position. And really good lower the eyes by Jake Kelly, who's traditionally not a great disposer of the ball inside forward 50, but found Philthorpe all by himself and then unselfishly gives it to McAdam for an easy goal.
Just at that moment too, you always wonder, that's where the stage of the game is, you almost just go back and kick it, you know, like, and he was lucky it didn't get smothered in the end. Good result for Adelaide.
Shane McAdam in Indigenous round. What a goal, what a journey it's been for him through Claremont and Sturt, so WAFL and the SANFL. Now it's back in the middle, and umpires picked out, holding the ball. It'll go against Adelaide. Had a chance through O'Connor. 10 pass now off to DeGoey, and Elliott rather from inside 50. He goes long. Oh, he's gone for a goal. They moved it quickly, Collingwood. The hand pass came out to Elliott, and he bombed away. And after kicking 5 in the first half, he's added his 6th. As we close in to the end of this match, we're in time on in the final quarter. Collingwood 12-5-77, snatch back the lead. Adelaide 10-13-73.
Just, you see the change in it you spoke about, Campo, the Collingwood just to win the game, but now they are starting to move the football. They've always been a little bit more direct. Again, you have a look at the handballs to kicks versus Adelaide. Big difference there. As you've gone and changed the screen on you.
Sorry, mate.
Just in this quarter, there's 22 apiece, but in terms of the entire game, it's 140 handballs to Adelaide, 99 to Collingwood. So just being more direct, use the foot better.
Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli are experts. The Pies now up by 4 once again. In the middle, Sloan gets a clearance for Adelaide, heads up to centre half forward. Quaynor sitting underneath it, takes the intercept mark for the Pies. Just slows things up. Head decides to head towards the eastern wing. Sits it up to Hoskin Elliott. Mark's just ahead of Seedsman at right half back. So Collingwood still have plenty of time to work through. 5.5 left in this final quarter. Only up by 4. Need to take the game on. Hoskin Elliott heads up the eastern side. Myercheck leading out. Nearly took the centre mark, the chest mark rather. Butts roved it well for the Crows. Hand pass defensively to Laird. Then Sloan, wrapped up by a couple, spilt it. Now held up on that eastern side. Adelaide fans wanted ball. Diving onto it was Rantle, who was held up. Won't get it. Ball up to come. Collingwood up by 4.
Well, they need to take the ball forward, Collingwood. That's the issue. They're losing field position when they go back, and late in the game, under fatigue, you'll see some skill errors which will hurt them.
O'Brien forces the ball forward for Adelaide. McHenry just got a hand pass out of there. Schonberg the same. O'Connor dispossessed. Elliott gets a hand pass out to Hoskin Elliott, and now Hoskin Elliott goes short. Adelaide pressure on, comes to Laird, shakes a tackle, hand pass wide for Hamill, just scrubs the ball towards centre wing. Chris picks it up. Oh, and then the big ruckman turns straight into a tackle of Sloan. Umpires called it for holding the ball against Cameron. So Sloan will take the free kick, eastern wing, and Adelaide will go forward to half forward, you'd think, from this kick.
Well, he's a bit stiff. He actually got the handball away on the replay.
Sloan, an ugly kick off the side of the boot. Nearly hit a trainer who was on field on the eastern side. Heads towards left half forward. Collingwood cut it off. Noble with a 1-2 to Brown. Runs through centre wing on the eastern side. Ships it forward. Here's Cameron at right half forward. Centres his kick. Myercheck's got the numbers against him. Off hands, it rolls to the goal square. He keeps applying pressure. Wraps up Butts. Brings the ball to ground. We'll get a ball up. 15 out from Collingwood's goal. Up by 4 points.
It's Steve Jordan Butts didn't have the ball.
At Rory Sloane's kick. If that was a goal shot, it's taken a massive divot.
Ball down and in dispute. Little toe there from O'Brien. Collingwood get possession. Poulter on his left foot. Tries the banana with his left foot. He was in the left forward pocket. Wrong for a left footer. Perhaps if he had a right foot, it might have been better. But a minor score. Collingwood stretched their lead, such as it is, to 4 points. 5 points it is. 4 points. I was right the first time.
We touched on their 1 point losses. They're up by 5 at the moment, and a goal to the Crows could see deja vu for Collingwood here. Brodie Smith runs out of the defensive goal square. Awkward kick to O'Brien. The Pies had numbers. A couple of Crows come in to assist. McKay to Keys, who dropped it in the tackle. That will be holding the ball. Coming back to Collingwood at left half forward. So free kick for them going to Bianco in his second game. Once again having a fairly big influence. 19 touches last week. Heading for his 16th tonight. Trent Bianco centres his kick. There's Noble. Wasn't really 15, I'm sure, but didn't travel too far. Closer to the square. Noble decides to go long this time. Into the 50. Myercheck getting a run. Duday rose up. Nearly clunked it. Spills to Cameron. Got a hand pass away. Only as far as Smith. Curls it around. Pies have numbers in the centre square, though.
Well, they did well, Adelaide to get away with it. Walker hand passes forward. Keys tries to get around Noble. Just gets his kick away. Adelaide still struggling hard. Collingwood turn it over in the centre square side bottom. Clever, the veteran, just slows it down with a lovely little left foot kick. And the mark taken by Poulter on the logo on centre wing on this broadcast side, and just slows things down for the Pies.
Tom Duday, the spare.
Poulter heads to the 50, a contest there, and a pack mark taken for Collingwood. Darcy Cameron in the middle of everyone. Somehow brought it in. O'Brien stands the mark, tight angle on the paint. Darcy Cameron probably knows, even if he can't kick this, he'll waste some time.
So you've got Jordan Butts in there all by himself and Jake Kelly. You've got to even the numbers up. I'm okay with setting up the ground, but when that ball, I mean, the likelihood of this going through or kicking to a contest is going to be more kicking to a contest. They need to make it one-on-one. Otherwise, Duday now, who's now become the spare, he intercept marks.
So Darcy Cameron, slow approach, winds around and heads towards the goal square, just pops it up. Crows do have numbers waiting there. Off hands, Dacos trying to bust through, caught by a couple. Ball up to come inside the attacking goal square for Collingwood, up by 5 points, 26-minute mark.
1.5 minutes to go, deep in Adelaide's defence.
Ball to ground. McKay slips a hand pass out. Keys just clears it as best he can. First to it was Scholl. He gets it outside 50 for Adelaide. Towards the boundary line, they'll take that. The Crows set up again. Left half back, eastern side of the ground.
Call it, Campo. What do you got?
Well, I'm thinking there's an extra up at the stoppage, which is going to be McHenry. He'll spit forward and kick a goal.
Here we go. He's been right all night. Pies fans won't like to hear that prediction. Toss back in on the eastern side. O'Brien in front position, tapped it down. Seedsman had a fumble. Pendlebury caught in the tackle, dropped it. No free kick. Ball ricochets out. Bouncing between boots. Finally gets hit towards the eastern side. Cut off by Magin. Short chip kick over the top to side bottom inside the boundary line. Again, the Pies will milk the clock. Steele side bottom taking his time. Centre wing on the eastern side. Crowd's not happy with it. Called to play on. Pops it up to right half forward. Plenty of numbers underneath it. O'Brien, though, reading it best. Here we go. Riley O'Brien has it. 50 to go. The Crows down by 5.
Just a hand pass into Hope. It's taken by Sloan now after Duday did well. Then he gave it to Rowe. Back he goes to O'Brien. Further back he goes to Jones. Adelaide get it out to centre wing. Quaynor in the way. He takes the mark on this broadcast side. Working hard, Adelaide, not with precision. So Quaynor slows things down again. Collingwood by 5 points as we close in.
Down the line he goes. Great mark coming in from the side, Cameron. Again, in the pack, Darcy Cameron has proved pivotal. In the absence of Brodie Grundy, that may have just won Collingwood the game. Darcy Cameron heads short to the paint of 50. Mark taken by the medical sub, Callum Brown. He points to home. He'll milk the clock as much as possible. And in the end, heads back. And it doesn't matter. The Pies hang on at the Adelaide Oval. Sweet relief for Collingwood. Despite all their internal chaos, they've conjured a win by 5 points.
Side by side, they stick together to uphold the
start to the game, leading by 23 points at quarter time before the Crows fought back. It felt like Collingwood were just hanging on for the majority of the second half, but they got it done, something they haven't been able to do this season very often. Their third win, Adelaide's 8th loss. The Crows lose at home in what could be a season-defining moment for them, and Collingwood finally getting the 4 points. Their third win of the season, Jamie Elliott with 6 goals on return.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as old barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
So 6 goals to Jamie Elliott on return. Singles for the remainder of the Pies to De Goey, Bianco, Dacos, Sidebottom, Thomas and Poulter. Meanwhile for the Crows, 2 to Seedsman, Walker, McAdam, Fogarty. Singles to Thilthorpe and McHenry. Collingwood, it felt like they had control for the majority of the night, but they were under so much pressure. This will do them a world of good considering all the drama and pressure that's been placed on them this season. So Collingwood about to fly straight out of Adelaide. They'll be getting out of here as soon as possible, but they'll be thankful they've got the win heading into the Queen's birthday clash with Melbourne at the SCG. Meanwhile, the Crows, a week away from their bye, in a bad spot now, sitting 4 and 8. And a game coming up with St Kilda away from home at the moment. I'm not sure where that actually will be, but the Saints to come for the Adelaide Crows. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the next 15 minutes alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson to break down the game. The leading possession getters as well. Rory Laird with 40 for the Crows. For the Pies, 31 to Jack Crisp. And obviously they got the win in the end by 5 points. Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli, how did you see the Pies win?
Well, it was outstanding, wasn't it, too? They started really well, and it's all about efficiency, and they were able to do that. 5 goals straight in that first quarter, then another 2 in the second. Kicked 4-3, and albeit it was late, it doesn't matter when you get them, but they were able to outscore Adelaide, and Adelaide's still struggling to win a third quarter in season 2021. Only 1-3 in that last quarter, but you have a look at the marks here. They've had plus 40, so again being able to control the football. Adelaide got smashed in that area last week. Collingwood, they're tackling 77 to 52, so in favour of Collingwood. The pressure was good. I thought their defence worked really well. I thought Sidebottom got better as the game went on. Will Hoskin-Elliott also got better as the game went on. Pendlebury played most of his game in defence. Poulter, he's going to be a class player, isn't he? He's composed. We know Maynard, how good he is. Darcy Moore, very good. Quaynor, too. I really like the way he plays as a small defensive player, but also very quick. Plays up in the air. Jack was great in the middle of the ground. Crisp, that is, just and/or across the half-back line too. So, and then when you go forward, Jamie Elliott, what a game. 6 goals on his return, just all class. We know he can use the football really well. He's quick, he's explosive. 7-goal scorers in the end. They missed a couple that they possibly also should have got, but to come to Adelaide with what they've been imposed as to how to get here and now what they're going to go return to. Coming in undermanned, Brodie Grundy. I almost thought Adelaide should win and win well tonight. That was a big out, as you know what sort of player he is. De Goey was quiet. He wasn't too bad. They had a number of players that really struggled up forward. They lost Sire early, so I thought it was a really good win by Collingwood. Contrary to what Adelaide, I thought they, all the stats will show, but it's not always about that. But they were just fumbly, didn't use it well. So many more handballs, 155 handballs to 202 kicks. So just that ratio there. I think it's just still too high from a handball. They just put each other under pressure all the time. They throw it around. They haven't been clean, and they haven't been able to get the football to go forward. So really disappointing from Adelaide tonight again, Campo.
Yeah, and you look at, you just spoke about their disposal. I mean, they kicked at 64%, which is, I think the AFL average would be up around 70%, so they haven't actually kicked the ball that well. It's okay to handball, Jamo, but it's the handballs that are breaking through, that you got guys that are running forward at the game that causes overlap. at the moment, Adelaide's handballs, they flick it to, all they're doing is essentially passing on the pressure. And when you've got really good teams that actually put pressure on and turn it over in those really critical areas through the middle of the ground, you get punished because everyone's just standing still. There's no momentum with the handball. And Collingwood kicked 8 goals for. It's still the area of concern. It has been all year. It was one of the things we focused on at the start of the game, that they just can't defend turnover. That's going to be their work in progress for 2022.
There was a lot of criticism on the text line tonight and throughout the past week about how the Pies were playing defensively, this ugly brand of football, but they got over the line tonight. Are you happy with what they're doing in terms of their system right now?
Well, I'm not sure whether it's up to me to be happy or not, but I can certainly, now I've seen them live and having a bit more of a look, I can see why Nathan's done what he's done. He doesn't have key focal points up forward. We touched on it at half-time. He doesn't have Hawkins. He doesn't have Josh Kennedy. He doesn't have Jack Darling. He doesn't have those guys as key focal points as much as, you know, they might want to use Cox or they use Mychek's. I mean, Mychek's a third tall, and they're playing him as a tall. Now, they get 6 goals from Jamie Elliott, but he's a small forward that's chiming in. You can't expect Jamie Elliott to kick 6 goals every week. So, as we've touched on, they'll be really looking forward to the draft. They'll be looking forward to try and get some key forwards in. Obviously, that's why they had a good crack at Jeremy Cameron. He didn't get there. So they've had to try and adapt their game plan. And so from that point of view, I think that's smart coaching. As much as we're critical about Nathan Buckley and they're going lateral, they're actually trying to find a way moving forward. So having seen it live, is it sustainable? No, it's not. But at the moment, with what he's got, he's trying to generate forward opportunities and also to try and defend the ground. And that's what they've been able to do for the majority of the year.
Dreamtime in the West coming up shortly in about 10 minutes' time at Perth Stadium with Clint Wilden, Ben Cameron, David Mundy and Sharad Wellingham. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points, and the round started with Melbourne defeating Brisbane by 22 points. A massive statement win for the Pies, considering how undermanned they were. As he touched on, Campo, without really a key forward, with at least an experienced key forward. Brodie Grundy was a massive out for them, and realistically, it's been a dramatic season on and off the field, and they finally get the chocolates in what was a really demanding game in terms of how they got here and how they'll have to leave. So a big result for them. You look at the Crows, and it did feel like they were in it for most of the second half, but a similar situation to Jack Higgins earlier today for St Kilda. Taylor Walker, 2-6 for the evening. Missed opportunities really hurt them in that second quarter. They had a run of 5 behinds. In the third quarter, they had a run of 3, I think, as well. They just had plenty of chances at the back end. Even in the final quarter, they had their first 2 shots were behinds as well. They just didn't take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah, no, and I mean, Jamie Elliott at one end, he kicks 6 straight. Taylor Walker kicks 2-6. Now, to be fair, Taylor's been pretty accurate for most of the year, and, you know, everyone's entitled to have a down night at some stage, but the pleasing thing is he gave himself opportunities, which he'd be pleased with. Still had 22 disposals. 14 of those were contested, so you can't say that he didn't contribute. But he would be disappointed knowing Taylor well. He'd be disappointed knowing that perhaps he was probably the difference in the game in front of goals, albeit that I don't think Adelaide played that well.
7-goal 9 they kicked in the second and third quarter. So just that ability to really finish off the work where they've worked so hard. And Capo spoke about it, and we all have in recent weeks how, you know, the defence against Adelaide, they get it from one end and they go down the other end and they score really quickly. Adelaide have got to work really hard to get it to their end of the ground and then to actually be so wasteful. And it has been, well, how far back? Go back to, I don't know, even a few years. It's the ability, they get it in there. They get it in there as much as any team in the competition. They just don't finish off. And there's been times last year and even the year before that where albeit they only won 3 games last year, the year before that, they actually could have nailed teams and put them away. Now, it's all right to look back and reflect that way, but they just get so much of the football, but they just don't finish off them. They can finish games before half-time and certainly before three-quarter time, but it leaves the opposition well and truly in it.
Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli are experts. Let's head into the Collingwood rooms. They're winners by 5 points over the Adelaide Crows, their 3rd victory of the season. Let's hear the song. Gee, you can hear the energy in that song. It clearly meant a lot to them to win here at Adelaide, considering the circumstances they got here. Massive result for Collingwood.
I think just the adversity, the year they've had. You know, we've spoken about it early part, and they've lost 3 games under 10 points, 2 under 1 point each. So to be able to come here and win like they had, so it was a great win.
Dreamtime in the West coming up very shortly. No late changes there, so the medical subs for both sides. Patrick Ambrose for Essendon, Daniel Rioli for Richmond. So we'll be headed there very shortly. Arguably the game of the round, and now the game of 2 rounds in Sir Doug Nicholls' Indigenous round. It's going to be pretty exciting to see what kind of spectacle they put on at Perth Stadium with the light show that's available there. It's going to be something pretty magical. So we'll head there very shortly. You're 3-2-1 for this contest, though, gents?
Well, it could, probably a number of Collingwood players missed out tonight, but I'm going to go 1 vote, Rory Laird. I think he, from an Adelaide perspective, 40 disposals, 16 contested, and just his clearance work, 7 inside 50s, and really sharp in and around the football. Jamie Elliott, I'm going to give 2 votes. You know, you could have gone Pendlebury, Maynard, Moore, Josh Dacos, Poulter. There could have been a number of other players, but Jamie Elliott with his 6 goals straight to be able to set up the game for Collingwood right from the outset. And 3 votes gone to Crisp, you know, with his overall game, 31, 9 marks, 11 contested. 9 handball received, 3 tackles, 3 clearances, 2 inside 50. So pretty much a complete game by Jack.
So I think we know where Collingwood sit in the pecking order. They're obviously probably not going to make the 8, and they'll be around the mark and obviously push teams like Adelaide. But for the Crows, there was that possibility. They were in the 8 in the early stages of the year. They've been competitive for a lot of contests. The loss tonight really damages any sort of hope that they had to finish in the top 8. St Kilda next week is a winnable game, but they've got a couple of top 8 sides to come. Are you convinced, Campo, that maybe this year just isn't the year for them? They're still rebuilding?
Oh, well, to be fair, I didn't think they'd make the 8 anyway. So I think what they have done is they've improved, no doubt about that. They've been in games for longer. They're getting games into their list, most importantly. And there's some continuity with the players and the game plan that they've been able to implement with Nixie. Obviously, it was a tough year last year, and with COVID and training and implementing his game style, they've been able to do that more consistently this year. So they've improved. I think they're probably around the mark, to be fair. You know, they're still in that sort of bottom 4 to bottom 5 in the competition, I feel, just with where they're at list-wise. But they've improved. But you know, I didn't definitely have them in there, you know, fighting, even though their early form would suggest that they were going okay. I still was worried that probably towards the back half of the year, how they're going to go with a younger list, fatigue, less rotations. Can they keep their good players playing well, like Taylor Walker and Rory Sloane, and can they get Talia back, which they sort of miss down back as well, as a bit of experience just to sort of help Jordan Butts, who I think's had an outstanding year. So I think they're probably still around the mark. The pleasing thing is they haven't been blown out in any game, to be quite honest. Yeah, it was GWS was, that just was their poor one, yeah. So out of their 12 games so far this year, you'd have to say that they've ticked majority of the boxes, and I think as a supporter you'd come to the game knowing what you're going to get now.
On the text line, Rod from Rowsley says, in the last quarter you guys said Collingwood were just hanging on. In the first quarter you said they were playing ugly football. Now you're telling us they went okay. I don't get it. And he was amping up a lot through the final quarter as well about it. But I feel like we can stand by those statements. So Collingwood's ugly football is their defensive lateral game, and it's working for them tonight. Worked for them last week against Geelong. Even though they didn't score a lot, they stayed in the contest. In terms of just hanging on, the Crows had more inside 50s and had so much pressure in that final quarter, but could not convert.
I'm not critical of the way they play. Again, I don't care whether you play ugly or whether you play good, fast football.
A win's a win.
A win is a win, and we touched on it. Nathan Buckley is playing to the what's within the team's capability, and that's the way they're going to play now. When you don't win, you are going to get knocked heavily because you're not playing and it doesn't look like you're trying to go forward, but you're actually trying to work your way through and you're not going to give up the football to the opposition. So, I think whilst we're critical, try not to be too critical from the outside looking into it, I think they played in the manner in which they had to and they got the job done.
And the game against Melbourne, Queen's birthday, are they a chance in that one, considering how good the D's look at the moment?
Well, we were lucky enough to see them a couple of weeks ago and then watch them again last night. They've just got stars all around the ground. I think I was reading this morning they had 37 clearances and 3 players in Petrarca, Oliver and Harms had 23 of them. You know, so it's easy to say shut those blokes down or shut one of them down, but it's just so much harder to do. Petrarca is in scintillating form.
Jamo Campo, thanks as always for your help. To Neil Cross as well, to Paul Brokenshaw, our tech, and to Craig Davis back in the studio. Here at the Adelaide Oval, it is Collingwood winners by 5 points over the Adelaide Crows, 12-6-78 to 10-13-73. So the Pies led by 23 at quarter time, just 6 at the half. Managed to get back a little bit of momentum, 13 at three-quarter time, and then a back-and-forth affair. Jamie Elliott standing up with that clutch goal in the back end, and 6 for the night carries Collingwood over the line to their third win of the season, 3-9. The Crows slumping to 4-8. Earlier today, Sydney defeating St Kilda by 9 points. Jake Lloyd had 27 touches. Will Hayward 3 goals. Jack Higgins 1 goal, 6 for the Saints. Ultimately proving costly for them. Mason Wood had a hamstring injury. Jaron Geary with a wrist injury as well. Melbourne defeating Brisbane to start the round as well with 22 points. And boy, we've got a cracker coming up for you next at Perth Stadium. Dream time in the West. It's Essendon up against Richmond to conclude your Saturday afternoon of football. But here at the Adelaide Oval in round 12, Collingwood winners by 5 points over the Adelaide Crows. Thanks for your company and join us next at Perth Stadium. It's Dream time in the West.